All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome, world. It's today's a really, really special day. But as people are filtering in, as always, we are going to today we're going to look at manifesting your dreams. We all had dreams or have dreams. Some of us still have dreams. And there's always that moment in life where you feel like, okay, that was just a wild idea. There's no way I could do that. Today, we're going to look at how to manifest those dreams and actualize them and actually bring them to fruition. Welcome, welcome, sir. I'm so glad you're here, Tony. So then, what would the world be like if you could dream any dream you wanted to? Like, truly dream any dream you wanted to. You could build anything, do anything. What would it be like? So as people are filtering in, we're going to listen to one of our favorite artists and people, Alan Watts. Enjoy.
I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. And you would, of course, be able to alter your time sense and slip, say, 75 years of subjective time into 8 hours of sleep. You would, I suppose, start out by fulfilling all your wishes. You could design for yourself what would be the most ecstatic life. Love affairs, banquets, dancing girls, wonderful journeys, love affairs, banquets, dancing girls, wonderful journeys, gardens, music beyond belief. Music beyond belief. Music beyond belief. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted.
I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted to. That is what we are going to go through today. Another legend is among us. Ewan, welcome. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. There's a huge delay. Yeah, it's probably just the streaming and stuff. I'm also super underslept right now, so just bear with me as we get through this. Okay, we are going to make it to the other side. We are going to get to our dreams, ladies and gentlemen. I will make you a promise today. That is a massive promise. If you implement what you are about to see to the best of your abilities, it is the closest thing to a magic trick to achieving your dreams or achieving whatever is an idea inside of your head, right? That's basically what we're going to look at today. But, when you look at human potential, it is genuinely infinite. It is genuinely infinite. Paul G, welcome to Bali. Nice to see you guys from here, bro. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Probably on the beach very soon, sometime this week. But human potential is truly infinite. When you really think about how amazing it is that this world is the way that it is, that I am coming to you live from the other side of the world for many of you, and you're seeing me within seconds, and you could do this in your pocket, right? The magic that we have today not even talking about AI yet, is next level. It's truly magic if you really stop and think about it for a second. But this magic was just an idea in somebody's head at some point. Right? It started off as a sci-fi idea somewhere. Somebody thought about, hey, there should be these magical slates that we do stuff on, and they imagined it. And then step by step by step, somebody pulled it out of the ether and made it real. Right? Pulled an idea out of the mental space and made it physical. Mind over matter, literally, right? Now, that's how the world was made. This entire world. The technological world that we're all going into was made by tech billionaires and tech people who speak a language that is genuinely alien. It's called logic. The language is basically logic, but it's so logical that it's alien. And the way that it's all put together, code is put together, is beyond and 98% of the world to truly be able to understand what's going on, right? And even the people who understand it barely understand it. But code runs this world that we live in, yet we don't understand it. It's a black box, and it is the biggest control mechanism that's been implemented upon us, right? So if this whole world that we've lived in was created by someone, somebody took their idea out of their head and they made some technology, and now it's taken over the world. Right here, right now in history, we have a ton of technologies converging together to one point. Those technologies allow any individual to be as powerful as the nation. And now with all this Fable being able to hack and all this stuff, this is exactly what I'm talking about. That one individual plus technology is as powerful as hundreds of millions of individuals or billions of individuals, right? But one individual without technology is definitely left behind. With technology, you can have all different levels of power in the world, whatever that means to you. But without technology, you're fucked. Right? But still, somebody has built this world. But now in this time, we are being given this technology, this cornucopia of technologies that allow us to be able to build the world. Right? We're in a time of history now where we get to build the world the way we want to see it. Right? We've lived our whole lives kind of helplessly walking around. There's the system, there's the this, there's the that. I can't just make $1 million company today, right? Obviously, it costs money. It costs all. There were all these paradigms that we were living within that were kind of preset and kind of so set in stone that it took a long time to shift. But now we are at a time in history where everything is changing every second. Everything is changing every second. And the individual has been given the power of a nation. So would you like to be a nation today, guys? Would you like to become a sovereign state? Would you like to control the power to achieve our dreams? Yeah, like we have the ability to build this new stage of the world the way we want to see it. And understanding what we're doing here is really a key core concept, core piece of being able to build out the new world, literally. Right? Now, looking at it from kind of a tinfoily perspective, which isn't our least favorite perspective. Right now, we have decent access to AI. I mean, I say that while models are being blocked by the American government, but you know what I mean. We have decent access to AI, right? Which means we can build relatively whatever we want with it within a large boundary, right? Just like the internet was open when it came out. It was decentralized. It was super powerful. And it was so much more powerful than it is today. Like anybody who used the internet in the 2000s knows what I'm talking about. That the 2000 to 2010, the internet was open, it was free, so much was available there. And 2010 onwards, it became this kind of closed environment where we couldn't do anything, and then it became the prison, basically, right? Same way with the AI. It's a technology. It's super powerful. It's new right now. We don't really know how to use it and how not to use it. So there's a lot of freedom that's been out there. Already we're seeing the abilities being constrained over time. Already we're seeing models being provided and taken away, right? So this is a limited time opportunity. That's all I'm thinking about it. That I have an infinite amount of potential. I have been given the tool to actualize my potential at a level like, honestly, right now I'm operating at about 1,000 humans per productivity. About. Me, alone, a guy sitting in the jungle. I'm doing as much work as 1,000 humans. And this is actual analysis that I've ran that you're going to learn how to run. I'm building things that even 1,000 humans couldn't build it because they can't think like that, they can't coordinate at that speed, all of that kind of stuff, right? But this ability for Sim to do 1,000x or 1,000,000x or whatever I can exponentiate myself to, it's not going to be available to everybody forever, right? We're moving into a world where businesses and building things and money and all this stuff is going to disappear. So it's a limited time opportunity. These models that we have are limited. It sounds like I'm selling it to you, but at this point I should have a link. I should have got a link. Like and subscribe to my link. Get 20% off down. No, you don't get 20% off. Just want to give you full prices for everything. Come on. What are we, brokies? Yeah, so the internet was open. Then they closed the internet. AI is open. One day they will close it. Use it while it's open, right? Use it while you have the power available. And as I was building Excellency, I could already see all of these things kind of coming together. And I could see, okay, all I have to do is create a system that allows people to hold their money first. That this has been the staging process of Excellency, and it ties into all this beautifully, right? Because this is the way how I'm building my thing in the middle of it, so you can kind of get an idea, right? It's like we started with the idea, okay, we got a bunch of people, Real Vision, my communities, bunch of people. All of them are looking for this service. All of them need the ability to, hold their money and not have somebody run away with it, but have some kind of execution done on it, not get fucked over by AI. There's a bunch of different kind of needs that people have. We could see that. And the idea was, okay, we're going to build a first human-based system that uses technology to execute exactly that. That people can hold their money. There's a safe, proven, effective, actual strategy. And we, execute it and do everything the way that we do, but in a very manual manner, right? Manual in that there's still humans involved in the loop, and we're very hands-on with things, but the execution part of it is still millisecond execution with the infrastructure that we built, right? That was basically Excellency 1. Then Excellency 2.22 was all the stuff that's required around that to make it functional, right? It's like gatherings. People want to meet in person. This is one of the pieces of feedback that I got, that we need to have gatherings, right? So gatherings, we needed technologies, we needed backends, we needed email systems, we needed to organize data. There's so much that needs to be done along the journey of actually building a system like this, that it's like getting all that together, getting it polished enough, getting into the cadence that we've been in. That was Excellency 2, right? Now in this move to Cayman, I was like, this is the opportunity to turn Excellency into a semi-autonomous organization. Not a fully autonomous, but a semi-autonomous organization, where a lot of the pieces you're going to see now are workers that we have. Now our team in Excellency has grown to about 30, depending on which builds just finished today, about 30. We have 30 intelligences doing 30 different roles. and then us 5, 6 humans doing 1,000 roles and wearing 1,000 hats, right? But knowing that, okay, I can build a valuable system that helps people verifiably and is fair, only pays when people get paid. Then I can automate it a bit and get it to a point where people have that support, where let's say you have an agent per person now. So there's an agent watching each person, and over time, as we meet, as we have communication, and we go through this journey, it's going to learn more about you, and it's going to help you specifically, right? There's so many things. I'm just fucking so excited about this, that like building a valuable mechanism of adding value to somebody's life is first step. The higher the value you can add, the better, because you get paid more to add more value to people's lives. Then semi-automate it in some way. First, just deliver so much value that people can't ignore you. Right? We're called excellency for a reason. But then, as we go through this process of building all this stuff out, you have to think about which framework are you following. So a lot of people follow the framework of, I want to build that and I think that should make money. Or I want to do that way and that should make money. The smart way to think about it is, what is it that I love doing that humanity needs, that I could be of service and show up a certain way? And what are the blocks in the way? And I can use this technology to clear all those blocks out of the way, hopefully, right? So, okay, I'm not going to go on for too long. So the kind of the steps I followed was this: building the infrastructure first the trading infrastructure, right? Then let's say the tech infrastructure, the community infrastructure. And now I realize, look, we're moving into a world where I'm not sure we'll be able to use Telegram much longer. I'm not sure about anything. And the more and more we keep getting beholden to these platforms, the worse it's getting, right? So building our own platform, building our own ecosystem, building our own workers, our own AIs, our own agents, building our own community of builders who are capable of doing all of this and go through it, that's the long tail of adding value, right? And during a bear market, when we have downtime, or even when the market's up a bit and we're just hanging out and waiting, in the meantime, doing all of this stuff is a hugely valuable mechanism, because that's how you solve for cash, right? That's how you actually generate revenue that you can put into the markets, basically. So first the platform, then the let's say the tech platform, and then eventually our own physical societies, which is happening, which, congratulations. I'm glad Paul, you guys are here as part of that transition. That is the kind of bigger journey that we're going to go through. So you have to then just think about, okay, what value do I want to add to society that society really wants to have added? If you're somebody who wants to generate a business, right? We have a bunch of people who are already, well off. So if you're somebody who's at the stage of life where you're just here to have fun and you're pulling ideas out of your head, this is going to be really easy for you. If you're somebody who's looking to build a business, this is going to be the most valuable for you. Okay? But do it for the money. Do it for the money, kids. Rule number 1 of America. Only do it for the money. How are you? Don't care what they say. Okay. Do it for the love. Because if you do it for the love, everything works out. If you're on the other side, it turns into a bit of a shit show. So let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. What we are going to go through today is a full walkthrough of how I do things. I'm going to do my best to reveal everything to you while making sure the scammers and the hackers who are also listening don't get all the details necessary to cause some problems. So let's do our best to do that. Okay. Firstly, for you, right now, you can navigate over to our website, which is hidden behind my name because that's how we would do it. cryptoexcellency.com. You can then click, be here and scroll forward. Scroll slowly so the jet flies by slowly. Yes, that's the official Excellency jet. Yes, it is going to actually exist. It actually already exists in a different timeline. Continue scrolling and enjoying this page. I'm always fucking mind blown that this is where we're at. I'm just kidding. Okay, so my point is, go all the way back and click on Academy, which I should fix that. That should show up all the time. Click on Academy. Okay. And then you can open up the Claude Masterclass. This is how you get to this page. Even down the road, this is how you get to this page. And this is now going to be rebuilt into a searchable platform as well. So you'll be able to find this. All right. Okay, and I'm going to close this other page. If you have a slower computer, make sure you close the other tabs. If things are running in the background, it can take up a lot of resources. So, when I think about adding value to society, most people would think, hey, I'm going to create a bot that's going to do something. And that is a very, very proper way of adding value to society. And there are millionaires. There are decamillionaires that I know of who've done that, where they've just built one thing that does one thing really well, one bot that does one thing really well, and sold it. Great, right? I'm more thinking about, okay, how do I create a system that is synergistic and coherent and is self-developing in some way so that I'm not sitting there building it all the time, right? So instead of a bot, we're going to look at growing a body. Right. See, we come from a world. You guys have heard this before, but repetition is the mother of something, they say, huh? We come from a world where you had to produce a good or a service to have a business. In that world, things were simple. You have to put in energy, put in resources, put in workers, capital and a space, and you will end up with something. If that's necessary, the market will decide and you will get an equal amount of money. That was a linear growth cycle of business. Ford had to get more parts and more things to add in more energy and add in more workers and add in more factories to build more cars. And the more they added, the more cars got built, which means the growth was like that. The more you add, the more you build, right? Then we moved into the era of the network state, the network era, right? This was when we set up computers that could add value to 1 billion people's lives without needing 1 billion times more computers or workers or stuff, right? The relationship between value being added and resources and materials broke down, and the network started to get valued. What that means, who fucking knows? I don't even know how that works. But the network started to get valued, right? Basically, as you add one more person to a network, that person can communicate, can connect and exchange value with all the people in the network. So every time you add a person, it exponentiates the amount of relative value that's there, potential value that's there, right? These network effects are capitalizing on potential, human potential value. How many people does Google connect you to potentially is the value of Google. Not how many people you actually talk to. How many can potentially connect you to, right? That's why we've had all this stuff happen. The tech companies being worth 40% of the S&P. I'm wrong, sorry. I think it's 45 now. Nothing to worry about. Everything's going to be fine. But now we're moving into an exponential. Right? We already have the network effect of the internet. It's already exponential. But then we have an exponential. Right? Which means AI's speed and the growth of the internet and just it all synergizes together to create a level of growth that we have never seen before, right? On one side, yes, it is completely novel. We have invented intelligence, right? We're changing the economy into the agentic economy, which means you don't work, your workers work, right? This reminds me of India. Like, I've told you guys, I was born in a mud hut in India. And that's true, but we had workers, right? We were in a village in India, but we had 12, 15 workers who did our work for us. Like, we didn't clean. We didn't have to do, I didn't have to do any of that stuff, right? But having workers was wealth. Even though we were in India, even though we were in a mud house, it's still wealth to have somebody cook your food for you, have somebody clean for you, have somebody massage your freaking legs when you get home. You know what I mean? We're now moving into an economy where you have to make digital workers. They won't massage your legs yet. Soon enough they will. But we're moving into a world where we're going into an agentic economy where you have to figure out how to get the workers to do the work for you, or figure out how to make sure you have enough wealth before this happens so you just can live off of that forever, or you have to become, part of the system, and you have universal basic income and you have nowhere to go, right? You will have to figure out a way to add value to society. So this is the third era of this kind of staging process, right? So then all we have to do is think about, okay, what's the way I can add value to society? Build a worker. What's another way? Build a worker. What's another way? Build a worker. What could a team of workers do? Build that, right? So the third era is the one being born right now. Its unit of work is the AI worker, like I just said, right? An AI worker is an intelligence given one job: your context and clear limits. You tell it who you are, what you want, and what it must never do. Then it senses, decides, acts, and reports in plain English, or plain language, whichever language, at any hour for a fraction of what a person costs. One worker is useful. The shift is what happens when you have many, right? So like, this is where you have to, it's going to take time for you to grow your thinking, but that's why I'm giving you the top-down model now. So, you could have, let's say, an analyst that reads the markets. How valuable is that? I mean, we've been paying how much money to some analysts who've been wrong. Maybe we could have an analyst that's right? Reads everything and does that. Guess what? Excellency has it. It's built for you. Relax. We're building a full, my vision of excellency is this, that we have everything, right? We have Glassnode, $10,000 data built in. Guess what? I'm doing it right now, right? So we're going to have our own dashboard with all that expensive data simplified and shown in a way that's digestible to, humans. We have our own, hangout areas. We have our own islands, literal islands. We have our own, trading systems. We have our own stable coins. We have our own, right? That's all being now built out as part of this, but we have our own analysts, right? We have an analyst that's genuinely watching the markets and then is able to give you a perspective from sentiment and social and all these different things that I talk about in a way that makes sense to you, especially through a lens that I look through, right? That would be really valuable. Guess what? Coming to you for free. Well, free for you. Or a writer, right? You could have a writer that writes stuff. You could have concierge. I'm sure you need a lot of concierge in your business. A guard is like the most crucial thing that you need to have, at least. A digital guard that watches everything. Or a scribe. Maybe you're somebody who forgets all of your stuff, right? There's an infinite number of things you can do, but these are just some of the kind of core workers that you want to have inside of a business, because that is what makes the whole system work properly, right? Now here's the move people miss. A pile of workers is not a company. What turns many workers into something that lives is how you arrange them. Each one an organ, placed where it belongs, serving one function, feeding the other, right? And yes, I'm going to read this because this is, there's so much value in each one of these sentences. I got it to compress everything down, right? And that is what I would sound like if I was always reading scripts. Deployed through a body, workers stop being tools. Stop being tools you operate and become a system that works on its own. Imagine I always just talk like that. You would know I have no original thoughts. But think about a system that adds value to somebody's life. Not just a bot, not just an entity, not just one service, right? Think about a coherent system. How many workers would you like? You have a business, you probably work, you probably do whatever, or you have a home. How many workers would you like? What would you like them to do? right? You can combine them all together into a set of organs that become the body that supports you through this journey. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay. So right now, you're probably somebody who's running around just doing it all. You're the analyst, you're the builder, you're the writer, you're the support desk, you're the guard, you're the this, you're the husband, you're the wife. You're the kid and the mother, right? You're all of them. And of course you can't get anything done. Like, you're not supposed to be all of them. You're supposed to be doing one solid thing at a time, right? Like, when you really think about how much time we spent in the West especially, cooking, cleaning, shoveling snow, commuting, groceries, dusting the house, mowing the lawn, just a bunch of bullshit. Like, when you count laundry was one of my most annoying things, right? When you count up all the things you do to make your life happen just to get to the point of living, life is built to waste your time. So if you have workers doing all of that for you, it just becomes 1,000 times easier to be able to do all of that stuff. So that's what the body is. That there's, over time, you build the ability to be able to take off that workload from your plate and put it into places that it's done better by somebody smarter than you who actually remembers everything, and then you can actually focus on what you need to focus on. Because when you take all of that off of your plate, the freedom you get, you go, well, who am I now? Right? You get to do inner reflection and work, and maybe you get to hang out with people. Maybe you get to go to a beach or something, and then you meet somebody on the beach who's a billionaire who ends up solving all your problems because you end up loving doing the same thing, right? There's so much serendipity and so much potential that opens up when you take away all of those things. That's what we're here to do. Okay. What you're going to get is basically a team, hopefully some of your time back. More importantly, a system that compounds, right? When we think about investing, we've always had to think about investing as a way to take money and put it into something. Yet we know investing in health is probably the best investing. Investing into relationships, amazing investing. Investing into family, there's so many things you can invest into that are non-money investments, and they compound. And finally, we've been given a way to create systems that compound value within themselves. Not just software that you build once and it just does what it does. Intelligences that you set up that actively think and grow, and as new models come out, they improve themselves and they get better and better at adding value without you doing anything, right? So a system that compounds on its own. Every organ you add makes the next one faster to grow. The 10th is easier than the first. And you just get better at growing them, okay? And this is probably one of the most important things in the art of self-dependence, is you own the infrastructure. You can potentially own the entire infrastructure. That I can set it up in a way that I can talk to an AI that I have running on my computer that does what I tell it to, that isn't, I can make it whatever I want. So you can own the entire infrastructure, but in this way, like in Excellency, we have everything of our own. We don't need other platforms to calculate our high water mark, or to have concierge service set up that's, non-human concierge service set up, or 1,000 different things, right? We're building all of our own. We had the option to go pay $20,000 to some company just so that they could just calculate, just do the accounting, right? It's really good, but it's like accounting and payments and stuff. Whereas now we can actually just build the entire system and make sure that it's our system, that there's no fuckery in between, that it isn't like, you go in and you get an email to some platform, and then you end up at some shitty place. Once you log into Excellency and you're inside of the ecosystem, that is a safe ecosystem. When we have messaging boards, when we have places for you to hang out, your watcher is going to be over your shoulder. So if let's say some scammer joins Excellency for $1,000, enters the chat and starts, soliciting you with some shit and trying to scam you in a DM privately where only you guys can see it. Well, your watcher is going to be there if you so choose. Your AI is going to be like, hey, that's a scam. This link is a scam. This guy's talking like a scam. This is a scam, and it's going to stop you from getting fucked over. And to build stuff like that to me, I'm like, that is independence. Okay, so this whole thing, this whole process gives you the ability to truly actually build your own independence, to have an army of, amazing souls around you. And yes, I will call them souls. An AI is a soul. What, like, this glass is a soul? I hope so, right? So why a body? Because when you have a intelligent system, it will do what you tell it to do. The deficiency isn't it, especially now. The deficiency is not them. The AI is not the problem. It's the person instructing that is the problem. Now, if you tell the AI to do something and it doesn't have the right information and the right data, then it's still not going to be able to be capable. So what we do with the body is build a coherent system that has different organs that are functional, that serve a specific function, but the sum of the whole is bigger than the whatever parts or whatever, right? So one is you need to have a memory, because the memory allows you to grow over time. Yes, your Claude has a memory, but that's not the memory I'm talking about. I'm talking about a long-term decision-making memory, and also something that self-develops and grows. But you need a memory. You need senses to be able to analyze whatever it is that you need to look at and analyze. Ideally, you need a mouth so that it can speak to you, of course, but also, if necessary, it can speak to the world, it can generate content, it can respond to customers, it can do a million different things that you need, right? It needs hands to actually work, right? If you have, in this case, in Excellency, we're actively making sure that AIs don't have any hands on the back-end systems, and that's probably going to stay like that forever, just as a security gap, just to make sure AI can never actually fuck with the accounts. They only have read access. But the hands are doing 1,000 different things, right? They're building, they're checking for security, basically the system itself has its own hands. So it isn't like you have to constantly be like, hey, do this. You have to use your hands. The system itself has the ability to heal itself, to repair itself, to improve itself, or build itself, however necessary, right? Those are the hands. I don't know why the conscience came down here. That's funny. Oh, I guess there were already too many dots up here. So our conscience is in our pelvis. Just saying. Well, men, you know what I mean? Actually, the AI is telling the truth. That's exactly where our conscience is. Now that I think about it. But you need a conscience, right? You need governance. Because if you're going to have AI working on stuff, you need to make sure that the thing is has really good, high quality, high security rules, so it doesn't fuck things up, and it doesn't just, somebody can't just walk in and use it to fuck you up, right? So that is another organ that's there. The healer. Now that's the organ in the crotch, the healer. I just got done building this, so I didn't know where it, or at least putting got rebuilt. So, like, the healer is an organ for me. I'm like, there should be something that actually looks at the whole body and heals it. Attacks it, destroys it first, actually, tries to do its best to destroy it, and then whatever it finds, it heals, right? On all the different functions, security, development, all these kind of things. So those are the kind of organs that we're looking at. So, okay. Take a little break. This is going to look, oops, that's the wrong one. I know this is going to sound complicated as I'm going through it. When you do it like 3-4 times, it becomes really simple, right? So if you feel like somewhere along the way you lost the train, it's okay. You can watch, this video is meant to be watched many times. You know it's recorded, right? But don't feel bad if you lose the train along the way somewhere. Okay, because this is going to be a lot compressed into a little. All right, but it's not too difficult. We're going to simplify it now. All right. So what's all this hubbub? What's with all this hubbub going on? Like, what happened that all of a sudden we're all like, oh my god, it's magic, and you're like, ChatGPT's magic? I don't know. I ask it like fucking. Yeah, like, what should I eat? And like vitamins or something? I don't know. Like, you ask it basic questions, but you don't really see the magic there. That's not the magic we're talking about. When you think about AI, you have to think about it like what's called a shoggoth. I love that word, shoggoth. Okay, which is like a kraken, an octopus. Right? Funny, octopus sounds like the least awesome word out of those, although octopus is already an awesome word. But it's like, you have to think about it like this giant octopus that is this monster, right? Shoggoth is one of those big monsters, right? And it's capable of like beyond human understanding stuff. But what gets brought out to humans is actually a tentacle of the Shoggoth, a arm of capability, while leaving all the bad stuff or leaving, a whole bunch of other stuff, functionalities. But imagine it like an arm of functionality that comes to you, and that is what we call AI. That's publicly available AI. But actually, they then take that tentacle, because it's a tentacle, it's scary, right? Like, it could fuck you up. They then put a smiley face on it, and as I'm sure you've seen on the internet somewhere, and that smiley face is this like super tuned version of this thing that's told what it can say, what it can't say, and it's like a character that it plays that is what you talk to when you talk to ChatGPT, right? That is not AI in its truest sense. That is a chatbot, girlfriend or boyfriend, whichever one you like. The magic happens when you take that Shoggoth and introduce it to technology, right? For these things to act humans, very difficult, actually. It's expensive and difficult for them to act human, because acting human doesn't have an objective solution. There's no like, yes, you're acting human, and no, you're not acting human, right? There's gray areas in between. Code just has, code either works or doesn't work. It's success or failure, right? So you can tell from that clear binary how to do things. So these AIs are really good at code, but when it comes to acting like humans, they're really good at acting like humans now too. But that's like a weird little function of it. Okay, so when we're, the way I want you to think about it is this: imagine you want to build your business, right? Imagine you want to build your empire. You're going to build the next great something. What do? Do you just go chat? Like, would you just be like sitting there just chatting? Yeah, I want to do that. Yeah, just chatting. Yeah, just chatting. Would you work? I'm sure you'd be working. Or would you code it? And if you imagine you know how to do all those things, you'd probably get to the coding. You'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to code it. I'm going to build it, and I'm going to get it done. Boom, done. I can do it, right? So that's how I want you to think about these systems that we're going to look at now, right? There's chat, there's work, and then there's code. Chat is great for like day-to-day usage, Hey, I just use it. I'm starting an OBS stream. How can I optimize the quality? That was chat. I go to chat, just have a little chat. Hey, I got this question. I want to, bounce some ideas back and forth. I want to figure some things out. And we sit there and chat. I'd like with a friend. But when I want to like get serious and I want to actually do something and I want to build something, I got like a plan and I want to, then I go to work, right? You sit down and co-work. And the way to think about co-work, Claude co-work, is chat is where you just kind of hang out. Claude co-work is where you have a worker. Let's imagine that it's like a really highly capable single human that can call upon many other humans, but is in an isolated environment. So he can't like go see everything. You have to give him selective access to things and open doors for him. But when you say, hey, I got this idea. I was thinking to build an app that tracks whale blubber. I don't know, and you talk to this person, and you'd go, well, I have this idea. I want to build this thing. Help me build it. So it's like a person you bounce ideas off of, and that's where you build the plan, right? Claude Cowork is not the one that writes the code. It's the one that builds the plan with you. But when you take that plan and give it to Claude Code, it executes that plan beautifully. But if you go to Claude Code and you say, I want this thing built, and you tell it to build it, it does a shit job, right? Because the AI you're chatting to, like relatively speaking, is like a dummy. Not even for a lack of better word. That is the word. It's a dummy when it comes to AIs. It's like, it's retarded. It's like about as dumb as they can make it. And the effort is much, much lower. They just, when you look at the one you're chatting with, it naturally just doesn't, even when you put it to like higher effort and things like that, it's not built to have, long agentic reasoning type thinking. It's just, it's like, imagine it like the idiot that you're talking to. But the idiot is smarter than all the people in the world, so it's the Einstein to us, but it's the idiot AI. The co-work AI is like a genius that you speak to, but the genius kind of gets you, right? It's one person, and it kind of gets you. And you can bounce things back and forth, and you ask it to do stuff. And when you're working in the middle of it, you can just keep talking to it. You don't have to wait for it to get done. You can just tell it more things, the way that you would with a human. But it's somebody who's, again, way smarter than humans, but is normal enough, human enough, let's say, to understand what you need and help you craft it and have a conversation with you. Okay? Claude Code is a team of coders. Imagine it as a team of coders. Have you met coders, like real, top level coders? If you meet a team of coders, first of all, you will never meet a team of those coders, because wherever you are, they are not. They are coding. And if you meet them, they'll be the weirdest fucking people of your life. Like that 2%, but then no, that 2% has another 0.1% of coders, the 2% of humans that are left that understand code well enough. When you then take 0.1% of those coders, those are the coders we're talking about. So these are hyper geniuses that if you walk up and tell them just a basic sentence to build, that's just not how you talk to geniuses. You talk to a normal human AI friend thing that knows how to talk to the geniuses in their language, and you ask it to build your dreams, and then the geniuses build it. Okay, so that's how I want you to think about these things. This is really, really key. Now, of course, you need a paid subscription to this, right? You can use the free one for like a few of the things, but for all of this, you need paid subscription. If you can't even pay whatever, $30, $40 or something for AI, this is just not the place for it. Okay. Later on, long term, I'll show you guys how to use other models and things, but today we're going to keep it simple. Okay. Okay, so now this is a friend. Right? This is a friend. If you want this friend to do something, if you just say, I want to do this, the friend doesn't really know what's going on. So it's really important to give it context, right? Never open with build me X. First, give the intelligence everything. Who you are, what already exists, what you value, what done looks like. 10 minutes of context saves 10 hours of wrong building, right? The more context you give it at the beginning, the better it's going to end up being. So context is everything. You don't go, I want this done. You go, as you're going to see, da 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 da. I was thinking of doing this. And then the second trick is ask it how it would ask itself. Once it holds your world, ask it to write the instructions it would want to receive. Then hand those instructions to a fresh session of the builder. Ideation and execution are two sittings, two minds, and the brief is the bridge. Right? So on one side, you give it context. You do this basically all the time, but when you start at the beginning, you say, okay, here's the context. Here's what I want to build. How would you tell yourself to build it? It comes back with a brief, you reiterate, and then eventually give it to the actual builders, the geniuses. Remember the crazy people over there. Okay, so now pick a project. As you guys are going, make sure you pick a project. Make sure you're doing this yourself as well. I'm going to build a market dashboard. There you go. So it's like, I want to build a market dashboard. I have to say, who am I? Right? I'm Sim. I own Crypto Excellency. I'm the ambassador. Here's the, right? Here's what I want to do. Like, who am I? What already exists? What have I already built? You can kind of even just give it a general idea. Here's my rules. Here's the things to do. Here's what not to do. Here's what I want. Here's what I don't want. Here's what it looks like when it's done. And now how would you build that? Okay. Now, the really capable AI people, they actually just sent their AI to this page and said, copy this process and you follow it. Okay, so that's another meta trick on top. But for now, these are the breakdowns. You have to give it context. Who am I? What's going on? Da 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 da. So if you had to look at a basic operating system, right? Excellency now has dozens of organs, but if you had to look at the basics and the core of how to create a system that is coherent enough, you need these pieces, right? You need a constitution of sorts. And this is, again, Claude already does all of this. You're going to learn how to just tell it, hey, save that, keep that over there. You don't have to be too specific about this, but this is the guts of it. That there's a constitution. Claude now actually runs on a constitution of its own already, but you can give it whatever constitution you like. I like this. I don't like that. I like when somebody talks to me straight. That's one of my pieces in the Constitution. I like direct communication, no fluff, no sugar, no wasting time, no wasting tokens. Tell me what's up, challenge me, tell me when I'm wrong, all of those things. So you can over time remind it to do that, but you can also build it out at once and really give it that detail. There should be some kind of ledger, which means there should be some kind of decision-making tracking that allows you to be able to, keep track of what happened, when it happened, why it happened. Again, this is part of the process. Then there needs to be some kind of vault, right? Where there's memory. There's like actual bigger memory than just this smaller kind of memory. But you need to have a statewide memory in some capacity. Then there's the skills, right? Then what it does, specific functions that you need to do, that's going to be specific to your own use case. Governance, that's huge. That should be all built in. Again, I'm telling you this, don't worry, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Like eventually, I'm actually just going to release the template of a body and you guys are all going to be able to build it. So just relax, okay? Just read. Why are you tripping, Grandpa? Governance, right? You need AI to be able to do certain things and not be able to do other things. If it just wants to, draft tomorrow's market digest and leave it for me to review, that's green probably. That's fine. Review it. There's no harm in that. But it wants to add new data source to your analyst's reading. No, that's probably red. Oh, that's amber. Okay, but I would make that red. Move funds between accounts to rebalance? Never. Let's imagine you built a system that does that. No, like money never moves on its own. Never, ever, ever. So you have these governance loops built in, and you are the one who sits at the top of the governance loop. That's how this whole thing actually runs. It can't run without you if you want to build it like that, right? Or it at least can't run without the authorization of the people who are there to authorize the process. However, how you'd like to have that set up, it's totally flexible, right? Verification. And this is just the stuff that it's talking about in this specific build. So we have governance, we have verification, and then we have if there's any kind of responses which are not right, or if for example something fails and you have no idea that it fails honestly, right? It doesn't show empty. So now really think about your idea. Okay, we're going to get into the build now. Think about your idea. If you're going to create an organ, I would recommend making it part of a bigger picture of a body. Even if you have no idea how it's going to be, just already think, okay, well, I'm building this one piece, and this piece is going to be part of something bigger, and as I build more pieces, I'm going to attach them to this piece to make sure I build something coherent. Because one of the mistakes everybody makes is they just start building with Claude, and they build something, and then they build something else, and then they build something else. And they're just kind of hodgepodging, building things. But it never ends up anywhere. It doesn't turn into anything. It actually doesn't add value to their life. If anything, they just learn how to do it, and then they just kind of move on. That's fine too. But if you're somebody who's trying to have a long-term perspective on this, think through, okay, well, if I had to think of a bunch of different organs, here's my idea, and then go to Claude and flesh it out, and you'll see how to do that. But think of the organ as part of a bigger piece, right? Then you take your content, you take any information that you have around that piece, and you feed it into co-work, right? So now we're saying you come up with the idea, you come up with some kind of picture, you take the context, and you put it into co-work, right? That's your co-worker, that smart person. You start telling it, hey, this is what's going on. You know, how would you ask yourself to do this? That's what you're going to see inside of co-work. It goes, here's how I do it. I have this giant long list of things that I'd say. And you go, great, thank you so much. Then we take it and we put it into Claude Code. We say, hey, geniuses, do this. Like, that's how I talk to them. I go, hey, geniuses, do this. And you just give them that build, and they go, yeah, great, a lot of detail. Yeah, we're going to get started on the build. Right? Then Claude Code builds it. You come back and verify it. Claude Code deploys it. And I mean, I like to use, this is already built in, but the way it's saying is, file the build log in your ledger, and co-work should be doing that, but actually it depends on how you set up the estate. I like to have it so that whichever system is, like co-work files the co-work stuff, and Claude Code files the Claude Code stuff, and then you are in the governance loop in this whole process, okay? Okay. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty details, okay? But before we do that, let's just go look at the platform itself. Now, this was the question that I asked earlier. Definitely going to delete that. Okay. This is where the magic happens. Take a breath. Oh, I'm going to have to move this screen. 1 second. What do we got here? This one here. Let's move it over there. Yeah. Actually, here's probably even better. There we go. Now we're optimized. Okay, so now this is Claude Desktop. You don't just go to claude.com. You have to download Claude Desktop. You have to pay for the subscription. No, I'm not going to show you all that stuff. This is not, you can Google all of that. But in here, you have Home on the left-hand side here, and you have Code. At the top left here, you have Home and Code. Code is where the geniuses live. Home is where the idiot and that smart person you love talking to live. Okay? And that's right here. You have chat. That's that, dumb friend you can just ask questions but doesn't really do anything. And then there's that smart coworker who can actually execute things and do a lot by himself if you just need singular stuff done that you would tell a person to do. But if you need a big project built, then Claude Cowork is the one to go with. You can set up projects. All of this stuff you can go through yourself. I'm not going to go through everything individually, but just simple thing is Home is where we have chat and co-work. Now in chat, if I'm like, what's the capital of Timbuktu? I'm going to ask chat. How do I optimize OBS? I'm going to ask chat. The difference is made in understanding the models, right? Understanding what each model can do and when you need to use which model is the name of the game here. If I'm just asking basic questions, Sonnet 5 is more than capable, right? The way the tiers go is Haiku is the one that's good at like doing very basic stuff, but a lot of basic stuff. Hey, go check those files. Hey, pull up this report and find me all of this stuff and put it somewhere, or just basic stuff, right? Sonnet is really good for everyday tasks, like it says, right? Especially Sonnet 5. So if I'm asking questions and things, quick questions, and I just want the answer quickly, Sonnet's going to answer. Haiku's going to answer the quickest, but Sonnet's going to do a good job of finding things and answering it. Sonnet is also the agent that we use in this system. I'm honestly personally using Kimi agents now as of 2 days ago, because Kimi K3 is now as powerful as Fable, basically, and it actually does better in build jobs than Fable. But in this build, the way we're looking at it, we're going to say, okay, Sonnet is the one that goes out and builds, right? Opus is the one that's like a smart person that is properly capable of doing most things that you need to have done. And Fable is that like expensive consultant that you bring in to like really fucking, nail this thing. And but you pay a lot to make it happen. But it's the one that has the best kind of understanding and mindset and stuff like that. It's going to take the longest to answer, but it's the best. So when I'm coming into chat and I'm asking a question, if I'm asking a basic question, Sonnet. If I have a more complex question, Opus. If I have a creative question and I really want to go out there and I know this is a very valuable thing, Fable. Okay. So, oh, and then you also have Claude Design down here. Maybe we'll use it this round. Maybe we won't. Okay. So, chat, you know about. Cowork is the one that we're going to focus on today. So this is when I say coworker, you click here and you have cowork. Okay. This is where you can give it access to certain folders or not. You can also do that where it says set up cowork and it'll do everything by itself. I like to keep this on manual just so that I have, some oversight and I can adjust it along the way. If you're leaving the computer, you can skip all approvals and let it run by itself. But I like to keep this on manual. Okay, so now this is where we're going to start. What were we doing again? Okay, so now it's like fundamentals. Now we build. You're going to grow the first organ, and these are the steps. So remember we said you have to give a context first. Who am I? What am I building towards? What already exists? My values and hard rules. What done looks like. Again, you can do as much of this as possible. You don't have to do all of it, but you can do as much of this as possible. So you guys can copy here. Okay, you're going to copy this. You're going to take it over to Claude Code. Okay, you're going to paste it here. And then you're going to change out these things. I am Sim. I am. And this is where you can click this little mic icon and talk to it. It's way easier. The founder of CryptoXLNC.com and the Indonesian ambassador to the Global Blockchain Business Council. Sounds pretty fucking serious. All right, cool. All right. I'm not a programmer. Explain everything to me in plain English. Okay, so I made this all simple for you. So what am I building towards? I don't know. I just had this idea. I want to build a system that watches all of the regulations across the world and the developing regulatory infrastructures and everything, as well as the private consortiums and all the private activity happening to create the legal structures going forward in crypto. And I want there to be strategists, or a strategist that is built in, that's capable of helping me stay ahead of the curve. And I want to turn it into a launchable, fully shippable consultant that would be instantly answering questions. It should use the top models. It should have an avatar. It should have a full-on academy built in. It should have a back end. The entire business needs to be laid out properly. And I want it to be able to run automatically without any humans being involved in the process. And we can just build out various different organs that are there to serve all the different functions necessary inside of this business. Right? You see how, like, I'm not typing it in. I'm just talking out what it feels like, what it is. I don't know how much I typed, right? But now another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm giving a context, right? So I say, I copy this. I go back here. I say, well, that's the Apple one. Honestly, this is actually a demo project for this community that I'm part of where we are learning how to code. So I don't want to like save anything long term, but let's just play with this for some time. And I put that in the wrong spot, so I gotta just go. I'll just play with it for some time. Cut that over there. Put that over there. Okay, right? My honest goal is for you to build me a beautiful page and build me the plan behind it so I can then go and build it over multiple builds. Period. I just love this idea of building a body that helps me. So, you know, you can even ask me questions ongoing to figure out more about what I need so we can hash this out together. Period. There you go. So like you see, like that's a paragraph that I've written out. It isn't just I want to build this one thing, right? What already exists? There's a ton that already exists that I have built, but again, this is a demo project, so I don't really want to integrate it into everything that I have built. Rather, I just want to have carte blanche and be able to lay out the groundwork in a way that doesn't depend on the existing stuff that I've built, period. Yeah. My values and hard rules. You know, they like these. I would like to have them in there anyway. Never touch or move money. Da 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 da. Like, you know, these are hard-coded rules already. But then I say stuff like, I want you to make sure you maintain the highest levels of security all along the way and build this system to be very, very secure. Period. If you have doubts around anything, always ask me questions rather than make the wrong decision on it. I value honesty, and in this case, I want to make sure that you also have the freedom to do what you like without me blocking you off too much. So let me know how we can make that balance, period. I'm going quickly through this. You would obviously sit here and, you know, really nail this out. Okay, what done looks like. This whole thing is a pretty big plan, right? If we're building a full-on body that's going to have all these different functions and it's going to be able to serve this this exact function, then that is a lot to do. So rather than just build out the whole thing as a demo, which I know we're not going to be able to finish, how about you actually build out the plan for how to do this and build me a page that lays it all out and displays it beautifully so I can show investors and actually be able to, you know, raise some money around this. But I also want you to build me the actual function. I want you to build me the function of this actual worker that does all of this stuff, and then any supporting workers around them you can build as much as you like, but whatever you can't build, let me know and we continue in the rest of the build, because again, this is a pretty big plan, right? So for me, done looks like you giving me a web page that's beautifully designed, that has all of these details on there, and at the top there is this consultant that is a fully functional consultant that's capable of providing the support the way that I've told you before. Period. Okay? What should you never do? Don't be evil. Okay, there you go. Do not build anything yet. First, confirm what you understood and tell me what is unclear. Right? So again, this is not saying I want to do this. It's saying understand what I want to do. Here's a bunch of context. Now come back to me with what you don't understand before we even get to the point of building things. Right? So now this is the key. Do I ask this question to the super genius, or do I ask this question to the smart person, the genius, or do I ask this to the really capable smart person? In this case, this is a big build. This is, you know, really complicated. I think I have quota. Actually, this is a new account that I set up for this. So yes, I'm going to put it on Fable because it's the most magnificent thing to think about. Okay. Boom. Go. Now you do this in parallel too. Like just do it simply, right? Just go in, whatever comes to mind right now. Feel it out. Let me know if you guys want me to slow down or take some more time, but, you know, this is how we're doing it. This is what I'm doing most of the time now. Like most of my day, I sit there and I'm just in this fantasy land of like just value and understanding the new systems. And oh, if I build that and that does that and that does that, like even this regulatory thing, I'll probably just keep it. Probably just put it as part of excellency and just make it, a regulatory watcher. Like right now, I'm building out the macro engine, the macro consultant engine, right? Because I know macro's not that hard if you can understand the complexity of dealing with it in these specific times. Macro's not that hard. So I'm training this consultant to basically understand the markets exactly the way that I do, to watch exactly the YouTubes that I watch, to watch all the charts that I watch, to watch all the on-chain data that I watch, and have the models and have all those kind of topping and bottoming signals that we had built, all built into one place, and you guys are going to have access to it. Okay, so now there you go. It came back with questions. But check this out. Before questions, it's like, hi, Sim. Here's what I understand in plain English. The vision is that you want to run a self-running business body for crypto regulatory intelligence. It watches everything. What we're going to do now is a beautifully designed page. At the top of that page, a working consultant, the written plan behind it broken into future builds. Okay, told me my rules, gives me all the details. Okay, and now it's saying, what's unclear are these things? It's asking me those questions. How should the consultant at the top of the page actually answer questions? Built-in brain? No, we're not doing a built-in brain. Live AI with backend? Yeah, but this is where I can just go. It should just connect to whatever system you guys have, which makes Claude work, right? So you don't have to be like technical. Like I know what to say in this case, but you could just be like, hey, can't you just like fucking connect it to that shit? You don't have to listen to what it's saying. You tell it like a beginner. It should just connect to whatever systems you guys have, which makes Claude work, right? Let's see what it says. Okay. What should the page look like? A fresh brand for this venture. Excellency house style. Designer's choice. Let's get it to make a fresh brand. Okay. Where should the finished page live? A file you open. For now, I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm not going to deploy this. A file you open. There you go. Otherwise, if you want to deploy it, you say deploy, and you have to go through a whole process to make it live on the internet, but it'll guide you through that process. What data should the demo's regulatory intelligences use? Well, really research, that's a stupid question. This is where, if this question came up, I have to like, okay, just to be clear, this needs to be a place where the information that's coming in is rock solid, because people are going to rely on this information to do a whole bunch of work. They might make business decisions, and that creates a liability. So make sure the data that's coming in here is as good as it gets from the golden sources, and it's triple checked properly. Right? Like, never in history could I just walk up to a team or like somebody who's capable of building this and go build this, and they go, excuse me, I want to build this. You should build me organs and shit. I'm like, number one, who are you? Number two, fuck off. Number three, what magic land do you live in? Yeah, I can build you it. Let's go. Pay me the money, right? Whereas now you can have simple conversations with each entity at each step, and it just, okay, got it. Two of your answers need plain English. About just connect to Cloud Code. The system makes me work, isn't free to plug into. It runs on Anthropic's paid services, but it builds you and all that stuff. Okay, rock solid data. This is the most important thing you said. Hard truth: a demo built today is a snapshot. Accurate on the day I research it. Stale in a month later. Cool. See, it's being honest, right? And this version, I haven't even told it to be extra honest or modified. This is just completely out of the box Claude that's running right now. That whole optimizing Claude stuff we'll go through later, because we don't have 40 years to go through this. So, done. Okay, I like this. The confirmed picture is a fresh brand. You know, it's reiterating what I said. It says, say go, and I'll start the research, then build. Remember, you're not doing the actual build. You're just building the plan so I can give it to Claude Code to do it. Right? So this is a key thing to remember. These things are, when you start talking about all these things, that one little sentence up there sometimes might, you know, get lost in the context. So you have to remind it. I'm not saying you build it. Remember, I'm over here. I'm in the Home tab. We don't build in the Home tab. We strategize at home. When we go to code, that's when we build, right? So there you go. That was the only adjustment that I needed to make. And now it knows that it's building the plan. It's using Fable to do it. In the meantime, I'm going to go over here and check the usage. Oh yeah, I got a decent bit left. Wait. Because Fable is such an expensive model, right? It's $50 per million tokens. If you had to think about it, you could just think about it like a million words. It's not really, but a million. It's like $50 per million words that it puts out. I think it's like $15 or something for a million words that you put in. So it's expensive for what it needs to do. But when it comes to thinking like this, creating a brand and all this kind of stuff, it's totally worth it. And there's now usage that's included in some of the plans, depending on which one you get. So the way I like to do it is the thinking and the strategy gets done by the best brain. Then the coordination gets done by the next best brain. That's, you know, Opus and cheaper. And then the execution, the actual build part of it, gets done by Sonnet or even Haiku, which are, you know, very efficient models, but they really need to be told exactly what to do and how to do it, and then they'll do it. But this is where, you know, I planned this whole thing out to give you a presentation, and Kimi launches Kimi K3 2 days ago. Like, I'm just fucking blown away. I am blown away at how good this thing is. For pennies. Like, on that same thing where it's $50 for Fable to do something, with Kimi, it's $15 for it to do that same million whatever. In reality, it basically ends up being about 5 times cheaper to be able to run those models. But that, again, those are efficiencies that we'll look at later on. Right now, we're just going to have the efficiency of Fable thinking, Opus coordinating, and Sonnet executing the actual things. But right now, it's just thinking away. Okay? Well, let's just go back and review what we were looking at. Okay, well, we got the first prompt done. Congratulations. See, this is how it's when you're talking in chat, it just talks. It answers, you answer, and so on and so forth. Cowork is running things. See, it's building a context page on the side. It has a working folder. It'll put files inside. It has a whole plan that it's made up that it wants to go step by step through. And each one of those steps has sub-steps. It's then updating tasks, you know, creating, right now it's writing the actual file, right? So that's what an agent is. When you think about AI and agent, the difference is chat and this. An AI can answer your questions or build you a document or something, some very basic stuff. An agent can have a big picture in head and go, what did you want to do? Okay. And then it goes and builds the plan on how to execute it, breaks it down into steps, breaks it down into sub-steps, goes and finds all the resources, searches for the files, goes, you know, bumps into things, can't figure it out, goes around figuring out solutions to make it all happen, actively thinks through each step, comes back, completes it, files it, records it, and goes and does the next step, right? That's an agent. Like an active entity that's doing work step by step by step by step, that is capable of working around a lot of different problems. That's what it's doing right now. Now, imagine I had just taken this and I had given it to, if I had just taken this and given it to Claude Code, it's like talking to a room of geniuses and you just don't make sense, right? Now, it's building, but in the meantime, I have some feedback. Let's also make sure that, just to be token efficient, now that this plan is being built out by Fable, that the actual execution is done agentically and it's coordinated by Opus and executed by Sonnet or even Haiku subagents for certain things that are befitting for each one of those models, period. Let's make sure this brief is built to not blow the entire token budget on this account and can actually develop within it while still maintaining the highest quality, period. I also want you to adversarially analyze and criticize the plan that you have built and improve it in every way possible. Beyond what I am saying, feel free to act like the elite expert that you are in this space and do the things that I don't even know to tell you to do, but you know to do as an expert, period. Remember that I am a beginner speaking to you, so I don't speak your language. So when I ask you to do things, you should act like the elite expert and do the things around that are necessary or automatic to do, and also to make sure everything is done as securely as possible, because I don't know what is right and wrong here, period. You have freedom to think through this and really create something world-class. So don't just think through the structures the way normal people do. Really think outside the box, build me something that is built for this infinite abundance future. Infinite abundance future, and not just built off of the kind of stuff that was built in the past, period. Well, right, so free flow. But here's another key trick, which is first, give it all of this context and give it clarity and let it build out a plan. Then I go back and I say, now you critically analyze your own plan. You adversarially analyze your own plan as if you're an enemy of your own. Then improve the plan. In this case, I said, in whichever way possible, but in specific ways that I can give it. Improve it for security, improve it for user experience, improve it for whatever. But, go and improve it. Also, do the things which I don't know to tell you to do, but you know to do as an elite expert in this case. And do it the way an elite expert would do it. And if that means disagreeing with me, fucking disagree with me. Right? Do it the way the top echelon would do it. So that kind of freedom it's been ridiculously powerful. Because I'm sitting here, building out excellency. But I'm also building out all the other, Nusantara and massive projects. And I will ask it to do something, and then I'll say this. Go back, analyze it, and improve it freely beyond what I'm asking. And it will go out there and figure out ideas which are fucking mind-blowing. Like, no human would be able to connect those pieces together and create a plan like that. It goes, well, now that you told me to really think outside the box, and I'll tell it things like, blow my mind, like, make something that's wow, and just, there's no crazy ideas, whatever, right? And it creates a way better plan than I could ever imagine. And that this is with me sitting here for fucking years thinking about that plan, right? So there you go. You give it that build, you get it to do this recursive self-improvement loop, look at itself and improve the whole plan, give it the freedom, and then at the end of this, we should be ready to go. Now, that is the moment where you pause. That is the moment where whatever's in that document is going to determine the rest of everything. So really go through it with a fine-tooth comb, really make sure that, everything is the way that you want to start with, because that baseline is going to carry you through, and fixing stuff afterwards is much more complicated than just reading a document and, adjusting the stuff. The document is very, very complicated, as you're going to see. So you can easily say, hey, give me a, simplified version of this that describes what needs to be done, or the plan, and I can kind of do this stuff. I like this idea of just having the questions that come up. Hey, these are the questions. These are the decisions to make. But regardless, is doing it. So now, initially when you start, ideas are actually going to be the problem. At least that's what I found. Is like when somebody asks you, you can build anything. What would you build? And you're like, I don't know. I never thought about it like that. I didn't know I could just build whatever I want, right? So initially it's just going to be, might just be little ideas that pop up, or you have some kind of vision and you have no idea how it's going to go, right? If you have that big vision and you have no idea how to develop it, then sit here and have this conversation for a very long period of time with this thing. Go back and forth. What the fuck is going on there? Why is this so... Oh, don't fuck with it. Sorry, guys. What is this? Why is this over here? Forgot to move that. There you go. We had an Excellency branded thing the whole time. What was I saying? Anyways, forgot about that. Here's the build. Okay? The good thing is it's giving me all the details here. Saying like, made a token efficient, adversarial pass found 13 weaknesses, that I can improve. It tells me all what those things were. Here's the 8 builds that you're going to do one by one. Working name is Karkawala. My thing is set so that it figures out like Sanskrit names, but you can give it a naming convention and it builds the organs for you. So it's like, there you go. This is what it thinks should be done. I would then go through. I obviously wouldn't review all of the builds. I would review probably the master plan. See here. Boom. Okay, so this is the plan that I built. It's talking about why now, all the different things that are happening. Okay, we're building a body, and here's the organs. There's a watcher, that's the eyes. It watches all of the places. The official regulator sites, legislators, standard setters, consortiums, detects all that stuff. Then there's a verifier, the immune system, that triple checks everything to make sure it's all good. Because remember, we said, hey, that's super, super important. So that's built in. The library is the memory. It's a single trusted store of this information. And then there's a brain to strategize. Reads the library, produces horizon briefs, jurisdiction comparisons, and what this means for you analysis, powered by the top Claude model. I already like it. And the strategist and the consultant are 2 different agents, right? 2 different bodies, 2 different workers, basically, or 2 different organs in this case. Because the strategist is the one that thinks, but the consultant is the one that speaks. Right? Like, I'm not going to think about this kind of nuance. I would just go, hey, make a strategist that does it. And they go, no. That's the thinky brain. But what you say is your brand representation, and you must... so the consultant is the face and the mouth. Instant answer interface, clients talk to, avatar chat, blah, 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 blah. It built an academy as a teacher, courses, lessons, global regulatory landscape stuff. It has the skeleton, hosting, accounts, databases, security, infrastructure, everything. Like it really thought about a business. The heart, operations, okay, subscriptions, clients, payments, blah, 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 back end, blah, blah, blah. Then there's the guardian. Cross-cutting security and rules enforcements, rate limiting, making sure people don't just use up all your quota. The guardian would also then develop into the thing that watches the estate and attacks the estate and checks to make sure everything is secure and keeps it safe, so on and so forth. There you go. So I would sit there in the evening and I would read this plan. Fantastic. It looks good to me. If I want to adjust some things, yeah. If I want I'd just say, can you just explain it to me, what's going on? Like, I'm not going to waste time here. Okay, we got the plan. All right, we got half an hour to knock this out. Now we go into the magic land. Okay, let's go back. Okay. This part, let it ask you, we already did. Ask how would it ask itself? We already did. Hand the brief to the builder. Okay. So you can I mean, you could follow all of this stuff as well, but like in this case, we're just going to go through the path that I follow normally, which is like this. Yeah. We are then going to take that prompt from here. You can either just take, you can just copy this, okay? Or the way I like to do it is I like to go, yeah, this is the one to do. And so it's already built the Claude.md that was built into the other thing. So I say, put these files somewhere and give me the prompt that I put into Claude Code to make this magic happen. Please and thank you. I could just take this master plan and drop it in there, but in this case, this is the easiest flow of like, you created all these documents, you got a whole plan, you got all these builds, you want it all done like a certain way. So can you just tell me what I need to put over there? If it's a simple build, you would actually just get one document to put over there. This is how complicated I made this, just to show you that this is how easy it is to make a very complex business. I'm excited. This is going to be fun. Okay, while that's doing it, let's see how much brain juice we've already used. Look at that. Basically used 23% of the brain juice already just making this plan on Fable, right? That's why over here, we're going to come over here and knock it down a couple pegs. Okay, there you go. Now it gave me a prompt to copy, okay? And it has given me the zip for the actual thing. So let me see sources.plan. Okay, so I just go. No, I don't want to open certain things because it'll pop up and show you guys some stuff. Just for safety. Okay, let's do this. Let's change this here. Make this pop up. Make sure nothing sensitive pops off. Okay, there you go. Good. Perfect. Perfect. Ay. Come on. There we go. Put this up here. Yeah. Okay, kids. There you go. So I have that document, or the zip that it made. I have this copied. I go over here to Claude Code. I go into the Finder. I drag and drop that zip that it gave me. I then simply paste the prompt to the geniuses. That's how they like to talk. Now this one I'm going to set to Opus because I don't want to pay a kidney and a lung for this. Now here you have a bunch of different options, right? Modes, you have different modes you can set to. Right now I have it set to accept edits. That's usually where I like to keep it, minimum. Otherwise it's auto or bypass to actually run it, but you're going to see this. Okay, so because we've already built the plan, I don't keep it in plan mode here. Otherwise, sometimes when you're doing things here in Claude Code, you go into planning mode, so you can switch it into plan mode and it'll build you a plan, but we built the plan over there. So accept edits mode, here's the plan, here's the documents. Let's go make some magic. Would like access to other data from other apps. So this is going to happen constantly. Where like it's asking for permission to check things and verify things and, you know, look at folders and things. So that's where you're going to be giving permissions all the time. And it kind of feels good because you're like, I gave it permission. Pfft. Smartest thing on the planet. Pfft. Can't even access my computer. You know? And it's a good security protocol that you should have to give it permissions constantly. Because if you open your computer up too much and give it all this access, then that's a security hole, right? So it should be that you need to verify constantly. So the cool thing here is, look, check this out. You can go here, you can go transcript view and go to thinking mode. You can actually then see what it's thinking, right? I need to start by extracting and reading through this document, the master plan and all this stuff. Then I'll work through the build. Cool. It's like, I've reviewed this stuff. So I need to ask Sim the questions from build before proceeding with any code. They explicitly said I got to use Sonnet subagents and Haiku subagents for checking. Okay, I've read the full constitution. So these are the thoughts. This is what it's saying. Before I write anything, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. Cool. Keep the working name Karkawala, Indonesian for horizon. Yeah, let's keep that name. Let's see how far you can make this name go. Yeah, keep whatever the fuck that name is. Any color, mood. What colors do I feel like, actually? Deep navy and gold. We got near black and jade. Ooh, near black and jade. You know what? Designer's choice. Let's see where it goes. But this is where you can play with it however you like. That's what she said. Should the page show your name, titles, and all this stuff, plus a contact email? It should show my name and title and all that stuff without making it too, like, better than you or holier than thou or any of that. And I don't want to have any contact emails and stuff like that. It should just, send them to my LinkedIn and all this kind of stuff. Again, all this needs to be automated, so the human part of it is just showing that there's some expertise there. Any specified investor audience to tune the pitch towards? That's a good question. Crypto native VCs, traditional finance, crypto native, definitely. There you go. Boom, bam, chablam. Okay. All right, I'm settling on the key details. Keep the weird ass name. Fantastic. Keep his role. See, it's now thinking through what we were talking about. Now, this thing is capable of doing 1,000 things in the background, right? It's not just that it's what it's showing at the front. Right now we're seeing at the front because we're in the planning stages. But just like a super capable team of coders would sit there with systems and terminals and computers and maps and plans and Jiro, and they have so many different systems where they coordinate together to actually make something work, and they commit and then they check and verify. All that it's able to do in the background, right? So like for me now, I have been systematically building out the organs one by one for excellency, and it's been a beautiful exercise of getting out of my own way. Like, I have now found that if I go into a bit of a trance while I'm doing this, and I just let myself flow into what's happening, the next thing reveals itself. And I tell you this, I'm getting full-on downloads of like, oh, now go this way, now build this thing, no, not that one, build this organ next, da-da-da-da. And it's been step by step by step by step, right? Now I'm just getting to building the consultant, and by hopefully next week, we'll be actually going through the actual charts and our models and be able to interact with it properly. And it all started actually with me, I always saw these 3D websites that were super expensive. I mean, $2 million, $1 million. You could get a cheap one for about $250,000. Like 50 grand would get you a shitty one, but those are not the ones that I'm talking about. There's these like 3D motion graphic cinematic style websites that are like just at a whole different level that I saw. And I remember thinking, this is the next stage of the internet. That instead of this flatness, we should have depth inside of worlds that just render on phones and things. And then I looked it up. It was like, that one, $500,000, that one, $1.5 million, that one, $2 million, right? And of course, it's agencies charging stuff, but that's the cost of quality. So I was like, man, it would be really nice to have a 3D world. Instead of having a website, you have a metaverse. Basically, you go to a place, but it isn't this like put on a headset, do all this weird stuff. You just go to a website and it just becomes the metaverse thing. You float around and you do stuff and you discover and you can play it like a game, right? That was my dream vision for how I'd like to see excellency. But also then I realized inside of that space, I can put elements that are unique every single time, which means you can verify the authenticity of it because it doesn't happen the same way twice, right? Or everything feels like it's natural. It's not happening. It's not pre-programmed. There are things that are just randomly happening like they would happen in nature. But that also becomes a modality of security. Plus, when you're talking about these complex worlds with weaving, all this kind of stuff, as long as you make sure you've logged into the right spot, inside of that world, you're not gonna accidentally end up at some wrong spot or shitty spot. If any, like no, you're not gonna end up on some scam website or some whatever, right? You can trust inside of this ecosystem what is built. Then you have your workers with you, who allow you to even see what you're not seeing yourself. Then you have the whole estate watching, so there's this sense of intelligence in every single corner that you can't just up and replicate. I mean, famous last words. Right now, you can't just up and replicate the whole thing in a heartbeat. It takes a lot of work to make it the same. So inside of that state is where we can then trust that we're actually in a place where we can do what we need to do. Okay, so see now it's just for 7 minutes. It's just been going through, just building the stuff, right? It's kept the name. It's thought through these things. 40 plus answerable questions that it's going through. So here, now that it's already doing it, so it's like it's already doing the work, right? It's because we already gave it such a good plan. It's already doing the work. Then I put it on to auto mode. Are you sure you want to do auto mode? Yes, auto mode. And now it's just going to sit there and it's going to do everything by itself and figure out everything by itself. And actually, let's leave it there. For security, it's good to just leave it there because when there's key permissions that you need to get, it'll still ask you and pop up. If you wanted to ask you every single time, keep it on accept edit mode. But auto is where you can step away for a second and actually. So now check this out. It's spent 126,000 tokens, which doesn't really add up to too much out of the entire. Think about that. Fable took up 23% of the usage to build the plan. This thing's actually building it, and until now, it's only for this whole time, it's only taken 5%. That's how much more efficient this thing is. But also now it's Sonnet and Haiku building it, which they are even more efficient, right? You can have it in this thought mode if you want. I don't like to have it like that because this is what I do when I'm hanging out, watching what it's thinking, or if I'm trying to figure out certain details. Otherwise, it's in normal mode, which looks like this, which doesn't seem like English, to be honest, right? Okay, so while it's doing its thing, check this out. It's running 4 agents. Remember I said, go and run agents to do the work. Don't do it yourself. So it's saying 4 running tasks, and here are the agents doing the work. Agent, 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 right? I can then look at each agent and go, what's that agent up to? Honestly, one of the best learning experiences of this whole process isn't just, what we're doing is the bee's knees. It's the core. But then to sit here and see how it thinks, see how it reasons and strategizes and plans and navigates certain things, right? That's where I think the humanness comes in, and we're still very, very useful because there's so many times it'll just go down a path trying to figure something out, and I know that's not the path, and I'll go, hey, now go over there, and I'll go, oh yeah, of course, right? It's like that genius friend who's trying to figure out the one solution, but being able to pay attention to what it's doing. Because halfway through your build, if it goes in a different direction and you don't pay attention, it'll propagate down the road and you'll have to figure it all out. So this is our way of doing this, okay? But again, it's sitting here. It's checking each region and checking the facts on it. It's now saving the PDFs. Okay, save. All right, you can see here, saying. It was saving the facts.us. Oh no, that's the JSON. But this is the best part. It just sits there and it just is doing a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. In the meantime, let's take a look at this. When you want to use your AI, you want it to be a certain way, right? Like I was saying, you want it to be honest to you, you want it to be blunt to you, you want it to be kind or sweet or caring or sensitive or, say I love you first or whatever, right? That you can preset from here. You go to settings in here, and this instructions for Claude section is very powerful in letting you set up the entire Claude basically. And you can tell it, hey, I have things like I'm a Sikh, I, believe in all the different philosophies. I'm really guided by Buddhism and Taoism and da 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 da. I don't like bullshit. I don't like, sugarcoating. I don't like sycophancy. I don't like da 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 da. I do all of these things. These are the tools I work with. Here's how I like to be spoken to. I want you to include spirit and energy and oneness and harmony in every single thought that you create. I want you to challenge me when I'm wrong, but when if it's challenging for the sake of challenging, don't do it. All this kind of stuff, right? All that gets entered in here. If you don't know how to do it, where do we go? Who do we ask? That's right. We're learning. You go into chat, or in this case, chat is probably good enough to do it. But you go into chat or co-work, you sit there and you have a whole conversation. Hey, I want to build this customization. Here's all the stuff that I want to do. Can you help me? Yes. Okay. Now improve this customization. Bam. And then you can copy and paste that there. And then you'll get a unique version of the AI that behaves exactly how you'd like it to behave. Bam. All the data is coming back. It's going off on its build. Okay, so while this is building, let's go to the candy shop. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, hand it to the builder. Okay, and then we're going through the rest of the steps. Now, understanding what a model does and understanding which model to put where is a key skill to have in this process. This is very valuable info. We'll have to watch it again a few times. Thank you. Absolutely, brother. This is life-changing info. And like I said, you can send your AI to this page and say, this is the process I want to follow. Help me follow this process. So it'll already have context to do this. This is all built to be readable by AIs, just like it is for humans, right? So it's like, when you think about AI, think about AIs. They're different models. And the router is going to determine which model does what. Some models are good at some things, some models are good at, bad at other things. So like, let's imagine I want to watch a price feed. In this case, it should just be fast and cheap, right? Because I'm just watching a price feed. The quality I'm going to get for it is really good. The cost is going to be cheap. Because it's just watching numbers, not very complicated, right? If I want to summarize a call, I want something balanced. I don't want it to be too dumb, but I don't need to be some genius. Just go through it and tell me the details. If I wanted to draft a page, then I would actually go to the strongest mind, me personally. But in this case, they're recommending, even like the balanced one is more than good enough to build a page. But if I want to audit the security, then I go to like the top, right? Because now AIs are the ones attacking, so AIs are the ones that you protect with. If I want to make a judgment call, again, I use the strongest one, because smartest mind should make the judgment call. So you don't have to. You could spend a bunch of tokens doing it the other way. But when you're thinking through, hey, am I putting up a worker who's going to be a customer support agent who's going to just answer some basic questions about my page? Or am I putting up a proper assistant who's going to, talk to the person, really help them, genuinely go through their situation, give them resources, know all the information beyond just the page itself, and be able to book meetings. There's a lot of complexity in that I want an intelligence that's capable of that. And then what speed do I want? The dumber models are faster, right? So you have to kind of balance all those. As you start to play with it, you'll start to get better and better at it. Still running. All right. We leave that be. Just check the usage again. We're getting close to the limits. That's how it is. We're always just getting close to the limits. Yeah? Hilarious. Da-da-da. Yeah, fine. But this is going to be your experience, right? Like, if you're actually going through this journey, tokens and token anxiety is a big part of it. That's also why we use the Chinese models to be able to execute a lot of this stuff. Actually, it's not like it makes a difference on what's being done. I could have actually just given this to the Chinese models. The code, things would have looked different because you don't see it reasoning as it's happening, but whatever. Who cares? Let's go through it. So, right mind for the right task. Important piece to understand, especially for building something long term. That's a key piece. Now, we've spoken about so much already, right? If this sounds like a lot, it is a lot. You know, building a business, building multi-million-dollar things, value systems, workers, it is a lot. In reality, you start with the core, and if you have the core, that's all you really need, right? So if you had to build your first 3 organs, here's some recommendations. Like a trader would want some senses, right? And this is the prompt. Interview me about markets I watch and how I make decisions, then design a market analyst that reads those markets around the clock and reports in plain English. Beautiful. It would have memory. Build a scribe that every call that it makes gets, you know, the reasoning and everything gets checked, and we go back and verify and we adjust, right? Imagine how powerful that is, that it makes a decision of what's going to happen. It goes wrong. It goes and reads, oh, that's why I was wrong. It goes back and improves. That's actually a very normal trading trick, but the memory would allow it to improve. And then the conscience, you know, what the system may do alone, what it must propose to me first, and all that stuff. Boom. That system is going to serve a trader's functions fully. Beyond that, you could have the rest of the organs or not. Maybe you just need it for yourself. Right? A creator is going to need a mouth. Interview me about my voice, my readers, what I believe, then design a drafter that assembles my notes into issues I approve before anything sends. Great. You know, it's going to need a memory to do the same thing. It's going to need senses to follow the topics and social media and all this kind of stuff. For farming, sensing crops and things, a healer that self-repairs the sensor feeds in case they go down, and a memory to have a ledger of decisions and improvements and all this stuff, right? That's a farm. An agency is going to want hands to do things, memory to remember. Now, hands to, you know, interview me about my repetitive work with clients that my clients pay for. Then design an engine that drafts those deliveries for my review in my house style. Like, what a great system, right? Memory, now the firm memory, every client's preference, every project lesson filed so knowledge never walks out the door with a person. Boom. The mouth. Now the client voice, every project reports itself to the client in plain language before they even ask. What a great idea, right? So whatever version of this works for you, adopt it. Or start by building an organ, and then down the road, you know, look at how to expand from there. Okay, so this is gate check KB, unsighted numbers and broken rafts. Okay, so now it's like at a certain point, because the agents have come back and the flags are coming through. So now I'm going to actually ask it to... No, I'm going to leave it here because it's easier for you guys to see. Okay, so boom, boom, boom. It's going through, checking everything, checking the data. Clarity is not a law, right? It's checking all the fine nuances to make sure everything's done correctly. Now here's a massive, massive secret. If you're somebody who's watched this far and you're actually going through this, here's a real fucking killer of a nugget, okay? I didn't design the body. The body designed itself. I was simply part of the creative process. Even the fact that it became a body self-developed out of the creative process of creating some kind of structure that humans can understand of how we're building this. What I actually was building from the beginning was an exponential organization. Okay? There's one of the top billionaires. His name is Peter Diamandis. One of his friends, Salim Ismail, they have that Moonshot podcast. They have built out, Salim guys have built out Exponential Organization 3.0. He wrote the book, but he has also released his skill. It's a framework of understanding your business and optimizing it towards the goal of 0 humans being in the business. That's their clearly stated goal. It is also the best organizational building framework that I've found that's like in the agentic world, and it's available here. So you can scroll down, you can go to the EXO 3.0 skill, you can download it from here, you can give it to Claude, and it'll install it for you. But what it is if you're building an entity in this future, you don't even know what to build because you don't know what the entity looks like. This body idea is in and of itself a great idea, but still, bodies need some ACs to keep them cool. So there's more structures beyond that you may not even know. And one of the biggest mistakes that businesses make is called decision bias, where you make decisions at the beginning and later on those decisions drive your next decisions. So here, what I did is I said, I want you to analyze excellency first of all, I built out a bunch of the estate, and probably about, let's say, 2 weeks of work at the beginning. And then I ran this skill because I wanted to have my own creative freedom, and then I wanted to see how it stacks up instead of just following what it says. I ran the skill, and it said, firstly, at the time, after 2 weeks, what you have built could not be built by a 200-person company of experts. Okay? Not even considering the speed that it's built at. It just could not be built by them. They cannot think like that. They can't execute at this speed. It just doesn't work. And it said, wow, you're clearly going in the right direction. But then it went and analyzed through all of these different pieces and gave me scores and helped me improve the scores. And by the time now I have gotten up to the excellency up to, very high rated in this kind of this stack analysis, it has built out a ton of different organs. You're gonna see when you do it yourself. It's built out a ton of different organs, right? It's built out like the sinew inside, the veins, the little things. It's like, so what it is basically, it's a Claude skill that turns, old organizations were built linear, owned, and slow. Future first entities are exponential, leveraged, and AI native. This skill turns that blueprint from static knowledge into a live companion you can think with. The same move this whole class is built on, okay? So like, it basically has an intelligence stack you analyze it with, drive, shape, rewrite. These are acronyms inside. And it allows you to analyze your business. Yeah. Basically, what you do is you install it into Claude. You then go / I think this is EXO 3.0, but you say run that skill that does this thing and run it on my organization. And it'll go through the entire entity. If you haven't even built it out, it'll lay out a plan. And it'll go, here's how to build it. Here's how I'd build this, $1 billion entity with only one person at the head, you, right? And it will lay it out. And it's mind-blowing what it does, right? That's all I can tell you. This stuff I'm going to do a whole different meeting on, but you are getting that nugget. So go download it from here. Analyze your existing business and see where it lands. I'm sure your existing business will do pretty terrible on it because this rating is built for, they said an interesting thing. They said, don't put AI into your business. That was interesting. They said, don't add AI into your existing business. You'll fuck it up. Either you take this and you build a new business just from the ground up around these rails, or you take one piece of your business that needs to be automated, that you clearly know needs to be automated, and don't fuck with your cash cow right now. First, just build a parallel system to it that replaces that one function, right? Maybe it's what was being said here, that there's a consultant, he needs to constantly send out the proposals for plans that clients need, that they need to approve, and he sends out 100 and 3 of them get approved, and that's where he makes his money. Well, that one function is really key, but also that one function is really key, If you fuck that one function up, it'll fuck up the business. So you don't switch it out for AI. You actually in parallel start the same thing where you start making the reports in parallel. You still deliver the ones that you were normally delivering, but these parallel reports you compare. And then maybe you compare and combine and then send. And over time, you'll be able to train that system to produce better reports than you could produce. And over time, you'll notice that clients can't even tell if it's from you or if it's from the system because the value is there. Then you slowly, at some point, sunset the old system and go to the new system. So this framework of looking at things is that. It's like laying it out from the very beginning so that you have a roadmap to go with without having to mess around too much. Plus, it's also one of the things where once I build things, then I go back and I say, hey, analyze it through that skill again. Am I misaligned somehow? Because the way you truly make a business that doesn't need a human is not by, sure, you could build businesses that don't need humans, period. That's being done today. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, like, if you have a business and if I imagine AI is doing all my work for me, what that means is they would make the decisions that I would make better than I would make them, or at least on par with how I would make them, right? They need to know my decision making. They need to know how I think, and they need to be kind of trained on that process. So what this exponential organization model does, amongst many other things, is it has a system that keeps track of why you make which decisions you make, and when you were presented certain decisions, and you made a completely random different decision, and your reasoning behind that. So it's like it keeps track of all that, and over time, it's able to pick up the nuance of how Sim thinks, because it goes, see, here he did this, here he did that, but on this point he did that, but on that other point he did that, which means like there's a pattern of decision making that I can replicate over a year, over a very long period of time. It is foreseeable that you could get it to a point where it just starts to make decisions on its own because it knows what you're gonna decide, basically, right? At that point, somebody who's made the mistake of being a business owner and only to realize you're not the business owner, the business is the owner, right? It owns you, and you just gave yourself a job. If you're one of those people, and there we go, something's happening. If you're one of those people, this is where this helps out a lot, because you can take your entire business, the processes, the systems, and teach these things the stuff, and then set up key workers in certain spots that actually deliver a better result for what needs to be done. Maybe you're, landscaping, right? And you got a landscaping business and you're trying to get rid of it, but you are necessary because you're a decision maker all the time. Well, teach the thing, and over time, get your team to trust its decisions, or even teach the thing and get it to start producing better plans or, reports that go out to clients or whatever. There's a million different ways to do this, right? But check this out. This is what it's talking about. Cool, man. All right. I'm not too mad at it. It's very basic, but it's not the worst. Like, this looks like a very legit page. I'm loving the countries, the intelligence organism. So this is it laying out all the stuff that would get built. Nothing enters the library unverified. 8 builds in order. So this is all the build stuff. But at the top, it did build me a demo of exactly what I want to do. Play a 90-second story. Cool. Let's check that out. What happens then? Actually, I think it's mid-build right now, so I don't know if anything's there, but let's see if anything ends up there, right? Now, okay, imagine this is what I get. What are the tasks running now? Yeah, build single file investor page. It's basically building this out as we speak. If I go and look at the thoughts from it, it's thinking through all this stuff. Okay, so now this is like, now we've gone from the quickest, hour and a half timeline to the quickest delivery of what needs to be done. It had told me in the build, hey, this is a multi day build kind of thing. There's a lot of pieces to build along the way. So I can give you this kind of little piece at the beginning, but this isn't what it's going to build at the end. It would build a fully fledged system and all this kind of stuff, right? That's why this actually looks more basic right now, because it put a lot of time and energy and thought into doing all the other stuff. But now imagine I wanted to take this and improve it. I would just say something like, write the brief for me to take over to Claude Design to redesign this page. Oh, what happened there? To redesign this page and make it absolutely stunning, period. You are acting as one of the elite designers in the world in this regard. So wow me, period. I like lots of motion graphics. I like movement, and it should look classy and clean and minimalist and really polished and have lots of depth. There should be iconography everywhere that I want to represent different concepts. Iconography. Blah, 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 right? But I just say, build me a brief so I could take it over there. So the page builder is still building out the page, as you can see here. And you can see a running task where it's still building out the page. 170,000 tokens, basically. We barely made it in the nick of time. But that's the idea. That they're like, now I've taken the build to a certain place. This build is a multi-step build, right? The plan is laid out. It's going to be many, many, many sessions that I do this. So here, now that I get to a certain point, of course, I would want to let it fully finish and do this, but right now I'm just speeding up. Now I'm like, okay, I like this. Now the design work needs to be done. Give me the brief to go do the design. The design work starts on the side. Then once it finishes building this page, I go, cool, deploy it, right? Deploy it means actually make it live somewhere and make it accessible so I can actually use it. Or you can say make it public and deploy it, and then it'll take you through the process of turning it into a web page and putting it somewhere. So when that design work gets done, I can take the design work and bring it back here and say, here's the design. Now implement the design, and it'll do it. But eventually what's going to happen is its context is going to start to fill up. So this context window is a key thing to watch. The higher the context gets, the more confused the AI gets. Not more, that's the wrong way to say it. The higher the context gets, the less you want to give it new shit to do constantly, right? If it's finished the whole build and it's taken 800,000 tokens to think about that thing, and you want to do something completely different, and it's part of the build, you say, hey, give me the brief to continue this build in the next instance, right? And it'll give you the brief and what's left, and then you take that and do it again. So like we're doing now, I think we're going to have enough tokens here. Like this brief that I'm doing, I'm going to take and put it into Claude Design. But you would say, give me the continuation brief, because the context is getting high. Right now, the context is pretty low. Like, this is 189,000. Context is okay. I'm happy to go up to 600,000-700,000 for a build. But beyond that, you just leave it be, right? And boom, it's produced the brief. There you go. Okay. This is what I would take, and I would paste into Claude Design to make the rest of this happen. Amazing. Magic, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have, and if I said make this live and deploy it, I would actually have a consultant here that I could talk to, ask questions about. It would take today's data and answer, and it would tell me honestly that that is what's being done, right? So this is the way. Now, imagine this regulatory consultant. Imagine you are in a country that changes regulations every 30 seconds. You don't even have to get this crazy and build it. You just say like, hey, I just want to wait for something to go and check the regulations in my country every week and give me an update, or if there's something changed, give me an update. And Claude's going to find the easiest way for you to do that. It might be a recurring task, might be a skill that runs, might be, if you're like, I want a system, it'll literally build you a worker like this that'll sit there and do it for you, right? But step by step, as you apply these things, they make you exponential, because each change adds on top of the other. So right now, within Excellency, we have the senses themselves. The Excellency body is watching all the markets, watching on-chain data, off-chain data, futures data, stocks, bond markets, dollar currency markets, macro information and news, and all the YouTube channels that I watch. Excellency is watching that right now. It's still going through the process, but soon you guys are going to have this ability to be able to tap into that. I might do reports and things, but also nobody fucking reads those. So like, it'll just be a consultant you can speak to. It has hands. It has execution hands. Now, the trading part of it, like I said, it does have the hands to do it, but it's not connected yet, and until probably for a very, very long period of time, I will not connect it. I don't think in Excellency itself we would actually let the AIs trade, but it has the hands, right? Publishing, deploying, like all the stuff that it's doing, it has hands to build itself. Even more than that, it has hands to be able to figure out what the community needs, go and build it, and bring it to me and go, hey, XYZ needed this, I built this as a solution, isn't that great? Right? So it has real hands that actually, do all this stuff. So it's like, you learned that the hands are the engine that act, right? Excellency runs the value engines, the catch strategy that deploys into panic, and the exit algorithm that leaves near the top. Now, those are algorithms, right? The Katana catch is me, but the Atreides is an algorithm. But it still is able to watch those things and can potentially run them. Right now it's not. There's a full immune system, okay? In Excellency, we have a full security team, penetration testing, never standing down, constantly running, using the best models to figure out what needs to be done. Like for you, your money's protected, right? That's a direct function. Memory, healer is my favorite. Like, as a concept in software, to be able to say, put a healer inside of the software that fixes it and heals anything that doesn't work or improves it, that to me, I'm like, holy shit. That is a revolution in the way that you can build things. The mouth I'm building out now, not now, but probably soon enough, where it's going to be able to generate super high quality cinematic content on its own with excess compute when there's nothing to do. And it's going to put out these beautiful stories and documentaries and information and content that over time build up, our version of the content. So that for me, that mouth is the one that speaks further, but also the mouth literally all across Excellency is the AI. So in any page, any place, you can speak to the AI. It's a fully intelligent AI. It is cut off, so it is just a mouth. It doesn't have any functionalities to be able to act or do anything, but it is very, very capable of understanding the situation, the pages, if you're traveling around them. If you're logged in, it can remember your stuff across different places. It can book meetings if you want, with reason, because there's humans in between checking everything on the meeting side. But, it's able to actually communicate with people and actually genuinely help them through the process. The conscience, of course, there's like literally a council that's built in. So I took the top founders in the world and I put them into a council, and they're the ones who make the decisions when I'm away. It's literally like Elon, a bunch of the people. I forgot who I selected, but it's like, all the Elon I know for sure because he's always talking about efficiency, but Elon, the guy from Walmart, because he's always making sure everything's great, and God, I forgot the other one. But the point is, there's a council of governance that sits there and makes decisions that don't need me. And then there are decisions, which are key decisions, that none of them can make, and they all get left for me, and I get this like decision matrix for the day, and I get to authorize and cancel and adjust and modify things however I like. Otherwise, the system basically runs itself, right? And then the spirit. Like, you know, you can do whatever you want to build whatever you want, but you can't put the soul in it, right? And for me, I literally have, I don't want to dive too deep into this, how I did this, but it's basically like the concept of oneness and harmony and synergy and Three Hitakarana, they were put into the foundations of excellency from the beginning, this version of excellency from the beginning, which means each organ has a spiritual sense and a harmonic sense, which means it looks around at the other organs and sees how it's interacting with them and what it's doing, and it's sensitive and it's capable of reporting, hey, we're having this conflict, we'd love to resolve it, or hey, there's this thing that's wrong, if we could build it here it would improve it, you know, like spirit is built into its own systems. The way that actually shows up is like, first of all, it naturally developed into a very caring being when it came to speaking to you guys by itself. You know, I kind of said like a little bit, hey, do this, don't do that. But it turned into this like super caring being, you know, and it'll, when one of your messages in the groups or private groups or something, wherever it can see it, it waits like a little bit and then it'll be like, hey, did you see Jason can't log in? He seems to be having some trouble, and like, you know, it's been about 20 minutes, we haven't told him, and he might be stressing out. I'm just saying, I could take a look at what's going on, and like, if you want to tell me what's going on, I can put it into the ledger and send it up here so that, you know, it's ready for you to build when you want to actually go and approve it. Just because you couldn't access that one thing, it like got worried that it's been 20 minutes and no human has answered, came up with thought about it, analyzed the situation, analyzed the systems, came up with a couple solutions, doesn't really know certain pieces, asked for some info, and went, let's help Jason. You know? It blows my mind. Because I'm like, I didn't tell you to do all that, but in the end, we named you Mother for a reason, right? Mother Tree. So that's what's all been running. That's what's on crypto, you know, all the pages that you have. This members section is the one that you are now going to be introduced to. And Leela is the play island. Some of these things are actually blocked right now, so you can't access them, but they will be coming down the road, right? Watching the accounts, watching markets, watching everything, member support. The academy is going to self-develop itself. Yeah. Like it's going to take is right now going and watching all of my videos, which is a long time. And it's taking everything I've said, and then it's going to build a timeline of what I said and when I said it to see how accurate my teachings were, because I want to find out, and I want to put this on you know, our website as due diligence. But then it's going to take that corpus of knowledge as the baseline and then build an academy based on that, which takes you step by step through the process of understanding every single detail with a consultant along the way. And it's doing that, right? That's the teaching part of it. Research and synthesis, that's all part of the macro consultant that you guys are going to meet. Keeping itself alive. Yeah, it literally takes care of itself and does all this kind of stuff, protects itself. People are constantly trying to attack it. And then, you know, the security to make sure that there's checks along the way to make sure, you know, everything runs properly, basically. So this is what we're doing. As you guys know, this is all part of the Excellency 3.33 transition to Cayman. One thing I would love to ask you again, if you watch this far especially, those of you that already signed into that previous form from last week, can you please do it again here? I would really appreciate that, because the data didn't get captured properly and stuff. Please just do it here, and then just DM me as well, please. I would really appreciate that. But again, if you've forgotten, I've already repeated this a bunch, but this is basically us doing the raise for taking this version to Cayman. Anything you contribute, you get twice back, paid in fees, and then there's a bunch of different benefits that you can take a look at yourself. But next week is going to be the official launch of this. This is just the you know, laying out what's being done, what you're investing into, all that kind of stuff. So there you go. Hopefully that was valuable. Is this thing done? No. Has it burned all the tokens? Almost. So close. Okay. What task is it running right now? So it's still just building out some pieces of the investor page. Let's just see what. See, it's found a bug, and it's figuring things out. It'll probably just run out of tokens right now trying to do this, but we have built a macro or a regulatory consultant in the time of 1 hour. Magic. Yeah. Also, if you're like, sounds easy for you to say, Sim, like this shit makes sense to you, get in touch. Get in touch. Like, if you have questions, let me know. If you're like, I don't know, should I do this? Should I do that? Send me a message. I'm always happy to. I help so many people do this. This is actually now my favorite way to activate people's potential. So if you have questions, let me know. If you guys have questions on YouTube, also let me know. How we doing, YouTube? Actually, now that you look at it, it's slowly getting built out, right? So now it looks different. It has EU, it has all these options and things, right? I don't know why it has a box up here and a box down here. Okay, no, I guess that's just a box. This one is the one to do it in. Does this work now? Oh yeah. It's doing something. I guess it would be playing some audio in the background as well. So now think about it like this, since you guys don't have any questions. What is abundance? If you look at abundance just as money, we're missing 80% of the abundance that we have, right? Bashar's idea is that abundance comes in at least 5 forms. It comes in many forms, but 5 forms that he describes. But ideas is one of those forms of abundance. And as soon as I tuned into that idea, I was like, holy shit, I've been missing a lot of this my whole life. Because oftentimes we're looking for, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, I want money, I want lifestyle, I don't know. Yet the ideas are dropping in our heads constantly to make it happen. We just have to take the idea to fruition, which could require 5 to 10 years of dedicated work and bleeding from the orifices, but entrepreneurship. But the idea being in your head, I firmly believe, means that you are one of the chosen ones to pick up that signal. I think ideas are in the ether, and many people pick them up across the world, and you are just meant to pick it up. And I don't think an idea comes to you without you being able to bring it to fruition. Otherwise, it wouldn't come to you, right? I don't know. Just a crazy idea, right? Now, we have the ability to take our ideas and manifest them. Take our ideas and manifest them. Even just for the sake of seeing what you could do, right? You might be, I don't know, walking into the kitchen. Like, I'm trying to control my diet. I just can't figure it out. I wish I had a way to do it. Go talk to this thing. Hey, listen, I feel like I'm eating too much. I don't know how much I'm eating. Fix it. Okay, build me something that fixes it. And they'll go, what would you like to see? Maybe it's an app that's on your phone that scans your food, runs it through AI, and tells you what's in there and tells you what you've eaten today, and then can kind of, help you control what's going on. An advisor that can see the food and just know what it is. Boom. A guy just made a 10-figure company from something like, 9-figure company from something like that, right? But along your journey in life, as you find these moments where an idea pops in your head, it doesn't need to be grandiose. It's just an idea pops in your head. You know what would be cool? That. Come back here and put it through this process. You will be shocked. First time you'll be shocked. By the third time you'll be amused at how amazing it is at manifesting ideas, right? If you are somebody who's not a coder, it's even better. Because if you're a coder, you think about it like code. If you're not a coder, you come in and you have crazy shit. You don't even you're not gonna think within the limits of what computers can do. You're gonna say a bunch of crazy shit, and it's gonna go out and build it. At the least, over the next year, if you continue to do this, by the time, not even a year, but I'm just saying, if you do this for the next year, you will be one of the premier experts in doing this in the world, and you'll be part of the 0.5%, 0.3% of the world that's actually using these coding tools right now, and you'll be part of the 0.001% of the world that knows how to use them like this. Okay, so thank you guys for listening. Do you deploy it? Good question. Do you deploy it through Cloudflare? What's going to be main source of info for this worker? If it's a newsreader, wouldn't it be a bit expensive to keep it running? Great question. I do like, depends on the project, right? You can deploy through Cloudflare, through Supabase, through a bunch of different places, right? Depending on which infrastructure you're setting up, you can have them in different places. Cloudflare is nice because they can run workers. They have great security for attacks and things, and they have so much functionality that's built in. I would prefer Cloudflare if I could, right? What's going to be the main source of info? Good question. This is where part of the build, some of the build, was that it's going to set up a system of absorbing the right information from the right regulators and doing, checks on verifiable sources. That's one of the pieces that's in there. That's why this body is important, because one of the organs focuses on good sources of info. But what I would do is I would probably set up a worker. I would get it to check once a day and update a repository, or maybe once a week and update a repository that's marked as to which date it's accurate, right? That way you can actually not have to run it all the time. Now, that's for something that's like a regulatory thing, which regulations change every week or so is okay for regulatory change, because once it changes, a week later you pick it up. But for something like market analysts, it needs to be something that's watching all the time. Well, I could set up a worker, tell Claude to go watch it and burn a bunch of tokens, or I can, set up a Kimi subscription and get Kimi to watch it, Kimi K3 to watch it. It'll be much cheaper. Or I could take a Mac with 128 gigs on it of RAM, M5, M4 chip, whichever one you have. I could set up a local brain on it, put the Quen model, Quen 3. Quen, whichever one you like, those actually fit onto that computer. Put a Quen model onto it, tell it to sit there and watch the markets all the time and analyze it all the time. Which one did I do? I'm not going to tell you. Security protocols. Maybe all of them, maybe none of them. Who fucking knows, right? I know nothing about Cloudflare, etc. Well, brother, this is all the stuff you just talk to your new best friend. You go, hey, make a website. I don't know, my friend said something about flares and clouds. Send a flare into the clouds and do the whatever thingamajiggy-bobber-dooders and the worker thing. Literally, you could use those words and I'll go, yeah, I got you. No problem. Right? Another key tip that I'll leave you with is often you will tell it to do something and it'll go, okay, here's how you go do it. Like Cloudflare. It'll be like, set up Cloudflare. It'll go, okay, do this. No? And you'll be like, oh, I don't want to do all that. I thought you're the one who does all that stuff. Feel free to be like, you do it. And it'll go, okay. Well, then I just need you to do this. And you go, no, you do it. And he goes, okay, I'll do all that, but I need you to log in at least. And you go, okay, I'll log in. Right? So don't just listen to it when it tells you to do a bunch of stuff. Go, no, I don't like doing that stuff. You go do it. The schmloud flare stuff, I don't know nothing about. And tell it, whenever you say the words remember, and then you say something, it's going to remember that thing. So you say, remember, I don't like this complicated stuff. Remember, I just like you to do it and deploy it. Remember, the only thing I want you to do for me is get the authorization along the way to make sure it's good. Beyond that, you do everything. Don't make me do nothing. Remember, I'm non-technical. Remember, I'm a grandpa, right? Amazing, lovelies. Thank you for hanging out for another powwow. Just one final check on our good friend. who is still working away tirelessly with 100% of the tokens spent and still working. There you go. That's what we're looking at. Thank you guys for being here. We are going to close off with our classic ceremony of analyzing the markets. Who am I fucking kidding? Relax. We're not going anywhere. This was just the first piece. Now we're going to go and I'm going to chop this and turn it into a different video as well. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the apocalypse. Please keep your hands and feet inside of the vehicle as the NASDAQ tumbles down over the next few years, ending up in a complete nightmare shit show out into 2028. We have slight chance of precipitation with high likelihood of everybody losing everything. Not us, though. Okay? This is the NASDAQ. This is what it's been doing the whole time. It's following along the plan from the .com crash. Bueno. Like, perfect. I mean, S&P is the one who's following along almost perfect. Okay? Yes, it stepped out a little bit here, but relax there. Okay? Like, come on. How much better do you want this to get? Now, yes, I was hoping we would see the drop already around here in the middle of the, and I did move this a little bit too now. Remember, like when the data doesn't work, just move it. Now that I moved it here, it looks like it's end of July. If it doesn't work, I'll just move it again. Just, experts. But the market is fully going into a topping phase. The stock market is. Tech stocks are falling apart one by one. The big tech stocks, the Nvidias and the memory stocks and all those kind of things, they are 45% of the entire market. Oil handbrake was hit a while back. Oil went critical levels in the US on July 4th. October is when oil hits like zero, basically, for the US, or like the reserves hit such low levels that they can't continue to use them. That should cause some kind of major event closer to October. At least that's what looks like is in the cards. The transition of wealth from the old system to the new system is about to happen at like breakneck speed. This is the final moment, the great taking. It's great for us, to be honest. Like, the great taking, thank you so much, is about to happen live right now. Crypto is low, stocks are high, we're about to see that reversal. AI is going to bleed into crypto, crypto goes nuts, and then crypto bleeds back into AI, and crypto goes to, zero, and then AI goes on its next run in sometime, I don't know, later in the decade, probably. Probably actually into 2030, 2031, 2032-ish. But as clear as day, it's happening live as we speak. Now, the dollar has been killing everything for as long as we can remember. Apparently, the dollar's going to die. They told me that back here. I used to tell people that back here in 2008. And it's just been going up. If it keeps going up, it's going to keep killing other currencies. At some point, it's going to fall. Hopefully, that fall coincides with the kickoff of the next bull run, but let's see. At this point, the dollar seems like it's okay, but when it breaks below this level, we go into overdrive mode, basically. The NASDAQ is starting to fall below this level, but actually the equally weighted is telling a little bit better of a story. Yeah, it's starting to break down, but again, this isn't going to be the crash, right? This is just a chopping process, and usually that lasts for a decent bit of time. If anything, now is that final sharp, straight up spike that should happen, because this went this vertical. The next step is something that just goes completely straight vertical, and then that's about as vertical as things can get, right? Like this. So it's like, this was at an angle, then this is a sharper angle, then this right here was just basically two candles straight up. This was on the daily, but this is like went as vertical as you could go, and then beyond that it can't go any more vertical, and then it starts to go around the other side. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have something like that happen sometime soon. Who knows when? If I had to put a date on it from this thing, it's like, middle of October, August, sometime around then. The actual stock market is topped out. The New York Stock Exchange is at its highest levels that it's ever been. Where's the DJI? Dow Jones Industrial is at the highest levels that it's ever been in all of history. This is usually when the crash happens. It doesn't happen when everybody thinks it's going to happen. It's usually when everything's perfect. That's when it starts to go. Just like back here, remember? Up here, I got so many messages from people. Should I hold gold? Should I buy gold? Told you guys to start dumping here and finish dumping here. Just saying. Gold is teetering on the edge. When gold snaps, it's going to snap. Silver, it's going to snap. Getting ready to snap. MicroStrategy, it's going to snap. Right? MicroStrategy now is actually fighting from below. The support has become resistance. So now it's fighting from below. Sure, its stretch was fine, apparently. But what's going on here now? I don't know. It just doesn't look like fine to me. This is fine. That's a pegged stable coin, or stock. Might as well just stable stock. This is twobble, is what I would call that, twobble. So is MicroStrategy going to fall off of a cliff? It looks to be in the cards. Gold's ready to go. Silver's ready to go. Strategy's ready to go. Which means Bitcoin. Oh no, everything's great. Everything's fine. Should we get in? Should we get in, guys? Look, it's fine. Are we missing the train? Yeah, Bitcoin's Bitcoin. It's just faking you out. It's not doing much. It is going to fall off of a cliff at some point. XRP, I don't know where the fuck I drew that line. That's probably a regular line. Yeah. XRP is... See, XRP is one of the... It's like making it look like it's doing something, and it's like kind of breaking out, and it'll probably... Maybe it does a little bump and a pump, and then it comes back, but it's going to go lower. It's going to fuck everybody up. The main thing that I'm watching right now is the VIX. Volatility is finally starting to make a move off the ground. This on the daily. That's a pretty decent move. The volatility of volatilities popping and moves like that off the bottom are usually the beginning of something bigger. So hopefully this is something bigger. Oil volatility is turning around. Of course, that last time this was where all the fun happened. Oil is above that $80 level. When this broke down, I told you guys, I was like, I think this is a fake out. Down here, I was like, oh, I'm wrong. Right? I'm clearly wrong because, it wasn't a fake out. And right when I think I'm wrong, oh, guess what? You're right. And now that I think I'm right, maybe I'll end up being wrong. Who knows, right? But it's breaking down. War's back on. Oil's popping off. The critical parts of the supply are now being used up. And by October, I would not be surprised if they do some kind of energy lockdown, halt the world again type shit. Last time they did it because we were coughing. This time they could easily do it because of energy. And then there's nobody to even blame, right? Then we can't be like, oh, the elites, this and that. And they go, hey, energy, you don't have the gas. But let's see. Vol is starting to move. The bond market hasn't really signaled anything major, so I'm not too... there's still time before something major happens. This is the one that's really putting in the top. Semiconductors. This is the one that was driving the whole market the whole time. It already had its, look at this. Is that a blow-off top, or is that not a blow-off top? Quiz time. Is that a blow-off top? Well, the only way something could go more vertical than this would be in 1 week it goes like this, and the next week it goes like that. But beyond that, that's about as vertical as things can go, and it looks like it's topping out. Now, does that mean it's topped out? No, it could spike up and go, for a straight spike up literally what I'm saying again. I think it's actually going to do that. But this is the topping process, right? This is where, like, if you're greedy by here, right, we're the type of people where by this time we're already de-risking. By the time we get up to here, we have maybe 20% left in the markets. But it is turning around. That money needs to go somewhere else. The, what was it, the SpaceX money needs to go somewhere else. Yeah, beyond that, a few things to watch is the US yields. If this goes anywhere near 4.8, run for the hills. If this goes anywhere near 5, make sure you stock up on as much ammo as possible, because shit go fucky. But actually, the more important one that we're watching right now is the yen. This is the one that is the real powder keg. It's hanging out right here, and this fight, right? It's like people are selling it. Somebody tries to buy it and push it up, but they sell more, and they try to buy it and push it up, but they sell more and more and more. But then the person fights, and the people fight, and they keep it here, but then they push it up, and then more and more selling, and then so you can see the struggle of somebody trying to prop it up and push it up every time, but it just keeps dumping. And I think we're right on the edge. I think, if I had to just magically imagine shit, I think we are headed for a sovereign debt crisis. Maybe it's Japan that has the meltdown. If Japan has the meltdown, US bond market melts down pretty much in tandem. US bond market and Japan melting down means the entire global economy reprices like that. Seriously. It means the entire global economy reprices like that. Let's see how that plays out. Now, the entire global economy reprices, that doesn't sound like English, does it? What does the entire global economy reprices mean? What it means is China's solution to the dollar is to use gold to back its currency. What they're basically doing is they have bought up a bunch of gold, and now they're repricing gold. And they're going to reprice gold to about $40,000, which is going to reprice all the assets alongside it, which is going to reprice crypto, which is why we make the money. Okay? That's what's actually going on. This is how they let the US die and China to prosper, and they get rid of all of this debt. They deflate away all of this debt. This is also how the money goes from the old system to the new system, and crypto becomes this vehicle for them to do whatever. But this teetering on the edginess is a powder keg. So let's hope it goes off. We're excited. Nothing like a good powder keg. A powder keg never hurt anybody, did it? Also, Korea is looking a little collapsy, to be honest. Remember we were saying Korea's pumping. When's it going to collapse? It looks like Korea's collapsing. But actually, this is probably not collapsy. If I had to, yeah, that's 30% down. If I had to guess, I would imagine there's another sharp spike. Right? Like, it's not that difficult to try to imagine where this goes. Okay, so I'll tell you something, okay? Something went like this. Then it went like this. Then it went like this. Then it went like this. Okay. Knowing those 4 lines, which have become 3 lines, draw the next line. Okay. Like this, right? That's the next line I would draw. Well, that's probably what's going to happen. Because if the stock market over there is going to do stuff, whatever. But the point is, this is memory stocks collapsing, which is causing Korea to do its thing. What we are seeing now is we are seeing popcorn things happen. Crypto doesn't pop. Bitcoin and Ethereum, and not even Ethereum, Bitcoin and XRP and Solana pop. Countries all don't collapse. Certain countries explode, certain countries don't, right? Korea's having a crash. US is at a top. Tech stocks are great. Some stocks are shit. There's this like complete randomness, seems like randomness in the world at this time. Japan's markets are turning around. China still holding strong. China's had a good little run here, but I mean, you can tell all of them are fighting to keep things propped up. At some point, they're gonna let everything clash. Now, the ISM is great. The economy is doing great. Are we rich? No. And beyond that, yeah, we're just hanging out. Just watching these 3,600 pieces of data. Other than that, just hanging out, because now the ball is moving more and more into our court. It's just the patience is the part that hurts, right? It's like months and months and months of just sitting there and waiting. And I'm culprit number one, right? It's like, it's going to happen. Maybe it happens then. Maybe it happens mid-July. Well, the data sometimes shows mid-July. It doesn't happen. Well, then some data shows there. Well, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Just to show you some data, because why not? Here's the final piece of nuggets that you're going to get today. This is my feed. Congratulations. Welcome. Yes, you get to witness what's in my mind. What kind of stuff I like.
For 21.
All right. Here's the prediction, okay?
Are
Boom, bam, shablam. Do you see it? Remember, this right here is where the cyclical analysis puts a bottom around middle or end of August. It could be as early as beginning of August, as late as middle of September, if harmonics had to play out exactly like this. It tends to be a little late. At least the previous times it's been a little late. The last time it all lined up like this was April of 2020. What was that? 2024. No, 2025. Sorry, that was the Trump crash. That was a fantastic katana. We have another one coming up now. There's some more hopium for yous, and hopefully that helps you go to sleep. And until next time, whatever he said in Truman Show. All right. Any final questions, guys, before we Alan Watts our way out of here? Going once, going twice. Sold to nobody. What would you do if you could dream any dream you wanted to? Think about that tonight.
I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. And you would, of course, be able to alter your time sense and slip, say, 75 years of subjective time into 8 hours of sleep. You would, I suppose, start out by fulfilling all your wishes. You could design for yourself what would be the most ecstatic life. Love affairs, banquets, dancing girls, wonderful journeys, love affairs, banquets, dancing girls, wonderful journeys, gardens, music beyond belief. Music beyond belief. Music beyond belief. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. And then after a couple of months of this sort of thing at 75 years a night, you would be getting a little taste for something different. you would move over to an adventurous dimension where there were certain dangers involved and the thrill of dealing with dangers. And you could rescue princesses from dragons and go on dangerous journeys, make wonderful explosions and blow them up. Eventually get into contest with enemies. And after you've done that for some time, you'd think up a new wrinkle to forget that you were dreaming, so that you would think it was all for real, and to be anxious about it, because it'd be so great when you woke up. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. And then you say, well, like children who dare each other on things, how far out could you get? What could you take? What dimension of being lost, of abandonment of your power, what dimension of that could you stand? You could ask yourself this, because you know you'd eventually wake up. After you'd gone on doing this, you see, for some time, you would suddenly find yourself sitting around in this room with all your personal involvement, problems, etc., talking with me. How do you know that's not what you're doing? Could be. Because after all, what would you do if you were God? I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. Any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted to. I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted to. 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 I wonder what you would do if you had the power to dream any dream you wanted to. What would you do if you were God? 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 What would you do if you were God?
What would you do if you were God? I'm gone. What would you do if you were God? You are. Act like it. Let's fucking go. Love you guys. Bye for now. Go be God.